At the Orange Bowl for the second season under Larry Coker as head coach of the Miami Hurricanes. Of course, he has yet to taste defeat. 12-0, a perfect season in his first year as a head coach at the college level. Florida A&M has won the toss, and they have elected to receive. The Hurricanes will be moving from right to left. What win there is, it's out of the east, and it will be at the Hurricanes' back here in the first quarter. Florida A&M with the Gulf Coast offense, 3 and 4 wide receivers on every down. So Miami's young secondary, Dave Heffernan, will get a test right from the start.
Well, they're going to get a test right off the get-go because not only do they spread it around, we may see them come out and go no huddle. They took a great amount of joy a couple years ago when they went down the field and scored on Miami, and Billy Joe and his staff took a lot of credit to that. So you know they want to rattle that secondary early. They're going to spread it all around.
Here is Seaver's kickoff. This is E.J. Collier, 6 yards deep in the end zone. He'll take a knee for the touchback. First and 10 FAMU from their 20-yard line, and Casey Printers will lead his offensive unit onto the field. Printers, a transfer from Texas Christian University, where he put up good numbers. 4,600 career passing yards and 37 touchdowns in 3 years with the Horned Frogs, and helped his team to 3 straight bowl games.
Guy that's been playing on the Division I level and transfers for his senior year. Says he wants to light it up here, so we're going to get a chance to see firsthand right now.
Devin Richardson is the only running back behind Printers as the Rattlers start with 4 wide. Fake to Richardson. Printers throw low, caught by Miller, but it's ruled incomplete as he short hopped it. Rod Miller attempted to make the catch. It'll be 2nd and 10.
One of the things we note in the starting defense here, Matt Walters has moved out to defensive end, and they've started Wolfert, the big defensive tackle inside, his first start for the University of Miami.
Matt Walters sliding out to the left end spot. Jamal Green is the other defensive end. On 2nd and 10. Printers again to throw. This one is complete to Miller, up to the 28-yard line, taken down by Greg Threet, number 28, the true freshman from Tallahassee Lincoln High School. Here's the backs and receivers. Collier at running back. He'll split time with Devin Richardson, Marco Junius, Dennis Bonga, Charles Allen from Miami Killian, and Fa'amato Lutu is the tight end. And there is the front line: Shedrick Moten, Demps, Baldwin, Smith, and Fletcher Williams. Last completion good for 8 yards. 3rd and 2 for the Rattlers. Printers checking off at the line of scrimmage. 3-step drop and throws behind Allen, and he is hit and dropped it as Glenn Sharp, the freshman from Carroll City. So 2 true freshmen on the field, Dave, in that first defensive series in the dime package, and both of them make plays. Greg Threet and Glenn Sharp. That throw behind Allen, and it's a 3 and out for Florida A&M.
And there's a reason it's behind him, because Jamal Green was coming hot off the corner. He had to get rid of the ball early. That's what Miami needs to do. They've got to have that front 7 put the pressure on to help the secondary.
Damon Miller will line up in punt formation. Ethnic Sands back to receive for the Hurricanes at his own 30-yard line. Short kick toward the far sideline. Hits short of midfield and bounces back into FAMU territory and will be knocked out of bounds at the 39-yard line. An 11-yard punt off the foot of Damon Miller. So the Canes have great field position to start this thing off.
Time to see what the 2002 offense looks like. We've got the key guys back in Ken Dorsey, but then you're replacing in the backfield, you're replacing at tight end, and up front you've got new guys, but you've got a lot of guys that have played before.
There's Ken Dorsey's career numbers. Of course, the biggest number of all, 26 wins and 1 loss in 27 starts at the University of Miami. Canes will go with the standard personnel package to open up. Quad Hill and Willis McGahee in the eye behind Dorsey. Willis McGahee with the carry. Across the 35 to the 32-yard line. Nice pickup on first down. Number 11, Levy Brown, the free safety from Miami Northwestern High School, makes the tackle. Let's take a look at the starting lineups tonight for the University of Miami. McGahee and Hill in the backfield. The receivers, Beard Johnson and Kellen Winslow Jr. is the tight end. Up front, big Carlos Joseph, William Joseph's younger but bigger brother, Shoko Haji Rasuli, the All-American candidate Brett Romberg. Chris Myers makes his first start, and Vernon Carey, experienced but also his first start at the right tackle. 2nd and 2, play fake by Dorsey. Down the middle, complete to Andre Johnson, 15, and down to the 10-yard line. First down, Hurricanes.
What you see, Frank, you get a chance there. Vernon Carey, one of the concerns about him was he's a big kid, very dominant run blocker, but he gets a chance to match up against Sean Kelly, their All-American. Andre Johnson just gets in the seam and then does what he does best. As big and strong as he is, makes people miss, picks up a little extra yardage.
Gain was 21. They'll mark it at the 11-yard line, so Miami can get a first down. Just underway at the Orange Bowl. First possession of the game for the Hurricanes. Dorsey looking to the corner for Andre Johnson, couldn't hang on. Coverage from number 21, Edward Kwaku out of Miami Norland High School. Looked like a pretty good throw.
It was an excellent throw. It looked like Andre Johnson stumbled a little bit getting off the line and then never quite got upright. Gets his hands out at the last minute, but Dorsey had it right on the money, looking very sharp so far in the opening drive.
2nd and 10 for the Hurricanes. They go with the 3 wideout package now as Ethnic Sands, number 7, checks in place of the fullback, Quatrine Hill. Dorsey will go out of the shotgun. Resetting Willis McGahee in the backfield. Rattlers come on the blitz. Picked up well. Throw for Kevin Beard in the corner and overthrown as Levy Brown again had the coverage. Here's a look at the FAMU defense. They play an 8-man front. Green, James Edwards, Leon Scott, and Sean Kelly, who had 13 sacks a year ago. The linebackers, Alex Fortson out of Miami Northwestern heads an active group. And only 3 defensive backs, Levy Brown, again a Miami Northwestern product, along with Kwaku and Shedrick Copeland, an all Miami-Dade County secondary for the Rattlers. 3rd and 10 for Miami at the 11-yard line. Again, the Canes go with 3 wideouts. Ethnic Sands in motion. Dorsey steps up, throws off the hands of Ethnic Sands and intercepted. Intercepted by Levy Brown. Well, you can't put that one on Dorsey.
No, that one will be technically in the record books a pick, and it'll go in Dorsey's stats, but it's a little low, but he hits Ethnic Sands right in the hands, and as he turns, tries to get it upfield, winds up tossing it up in the air, and it's a freebie for FAMU as they come up with it.
Yeah, the worst thing, it hit him. He popped it up in the air where it's anybody's ball. 3 interceptions last year for Levy Brown, who was a heck of a player at Miami Northwestern High School. Well, and Ken Dorsey suffering his first interception of the season, although not his fault. First down from the 3-yard line. Printers out of the shotgun. Rolling to his right. Gets a good block and throws incomplete. Intended for Marco Junius. Antrell Roll had the coverage out at the 12-yard line.
We'll see a lot of that with Billy Joe's Gulf Coast offense. You're going to see him moving Printers a lot. They've got to get him around so that these guys have got to chase and try to keep contained. And they may try to run at Walters a little bit, given that he hasn't been playing defensive end. He's a defensive tackle who they've slid back out.
And Walters did get chopped down on the last play, giving Printers room to throw. Matt's got to try and keep his feet, fend off the blockers. On a 2nd down, out of the eye, William Joseph. Hold on, the whistle stop play, because William Joseph would have had Devin Richardson for a safety, but whistles blew before the snap of the football.
Well, that's why you see him being talked about as all these great defensive linemen. But William Joseph is the guy this year that's in the mold of the ones they've had in the past. He has big, strong, but with great quickness.
Including the Rose Bowl last year, William Joseph had 22 tackles for a loss, including 10 sacks, which is an astounding number for an inside guy.
The only thing I can't figure is how his parents ever kept a refrigerator stocked. With him and Carlos at home, you figure there's no way there's any food staying in the house.
Penalty was on FAMU, half the distance. So the ball just outside the 1-yard line. It'll be 2nd and 11. Printers out of the shotgun. Pressure on, throwing incomplete. Over the head of Allen, Charles Allen out of Miami Killian High School, covered by Antrell Roll. And here's a look at that Hurricane defense. Up front, Jamal Green, William Joseph, big double wide, Vince Wilfork, and Matt Walters slides out to defensive end. Howard Clark won't see the field much tonight. The Sam linebacker won't be out there. John Vilma had a great sophomore year. DJ Williams should have a breakout year. Marshall, Taylor, Sykes, and Roll in the secondary. Kelly Jennings with the torn ligament in his thumb would have been one of the starting corners. Unable to play tonight, and Alan Marshall takes his place. 3rd and long for the Rattlers. Printers again out of the shotgun. 4-man rush for Miami. Here's the throw off the hands of Miller at the 15-yard line, and it'll be a punting situation.
Printers getting no help there. Miller's actually got a little opening there. Gets his hands on it, but can't hang on to it. And you see Printers having a little bit of problem. They've got a wonderful crowd here tonight, over 60,000. A lot of noise in the closed end zone.
Damon Miller, whose first punt traveled 11 yards, will stand at the back of the end zone, and I would expect the Hurricanes to try and block this. Come after him hard. Fa'amala Lutu is the long snapper for FAMU. It's a good snap. And Miller boots it out of there. Again, a short kick taken by Ethnic Sands at the 36. To the 30. 25. And run out of bounds at the 20-yard line. Miami again will have tremendous field position as Chris Gilchrist made the tackle on special teams, but a nice return for Ethnic Sands. We have 12 minutes and 12 seconds left to go here in the first quarter at the Orange Bowl. Season opener for the Canes. It's Miami nothing, Florida A&M nothing. We'll be right back here on Fox Sports Net. 12 minutes, 12 seconds remaining here in the first quarter. Second possession for the Hurricanes. After a second straight 3-and-out by Florida A&M, they start at the FAMU 19-yard line. Willis McGahee with the football. Good block from Quad Hill. McGahee, 10-5. That's what I'm talking about, Willis. Miami touchdown, 19 yards from Willis McGahee. It's 6-0 Hurricanes.
Two guys up front to make that happen. Kellen Winslow gets a great block in addition to Quadrine Hill, and that's one of the things we wanted to see come out of Kellen Winslow. He put on about 20 pounds in the offseason. We know he's a great athlete. Here he gets a tremendous block, springs it. McGahee makes it look easy.
Well, Kellen Winslow last year came in as a true freshman about 200 and I'll say 10 pounds, 12 pounds. As Todd Seaver's extra point attempt is up, and it is good. 12:06 left to go in the first quarter, and it's Miami 7, FAMU nothing. He reported to fall camp, Kellen Winslow, at 241 pounds. Now, after 2 days, he was probably 232, 233, but you can see the guns on him, how he's built up. And let's take another look at that touchdown run, Dave.
Well, you see it here. It's real simple. They bring it up. Quadrine Hill gets a great block. Winslow just pins his man, and then one nice move by McGahee, and he's in the end zone.
Now, Kellen Winslow is not at this point. He buries his guy there. That's a pancake.
I mean, that's a great
You don't
block.
expect him to be a Bubba Franks type blocker, but he can be one of those pest blockers, much like the offensive coordinator Rob Chudzinski was back in his day. He was just pesky enough. He'd get in your way. He'd hand fight you, he'd chicken fight you, and just do enough to keep you from making the tackle. You don't expect to see blocks like that every time out of Kellen Winslow, but that was a heck of a block.
He did enough there because he decleated this guy, and you're right, though. He's not going to be a big, bulky guy, but he was a guy that really was a wide receiver coming in and is going to grow into the tight end position. And, you know, given the namesake, he's got some big shoes to fill, but if that's the effort you're going to see out of him, he's off to a good start.
Yeah, bloodlines do count for something sometimes, and in this case, they definitely do.
And this is a place where his dad has chalked up a few nice games.
Yeah, well, that playoff game against the Dolphins back in, what was it, 82?
Might as well just put an S on his chest.
Yeah, 13 catches and a blocked field goal.
Unbelievable.
So here's Sievers to kick it off for the second time tonight. E.J. Collier and Marco Junius back to receive. This will be Marco Junius from the 7. And Greg Threet has him down at the 22-yard line. The true freshman out of Tallahassee Lincoln High School. Greg Threet and Glenn Sharp, along with Brandon Merriweather, expected to see action as backup defensive backs tonight. Willis McGahee, you see the numbers when the Canes have scored first since 1983. Virtually unbeatable.
You talk about those true freshmen, it's got to be a wonderful feeling for guys that are playing in high school the last time they teed it up to come here in front of 65,000 at the OB on a nice Saturday night, and all of a sudden they're in the ball game. E.J.
Collier looks like he got dinged a little bit. Training staff from Florida A&M checking him out. It'll be 1st and 10 from the Rattler 22-yard line. And they will take Collier's helmet off a little bit gingerly. Well, let's take a look again at that touchdown run. And, you know, people talked about Willis McGahee. Well, you know, Frank Gore was probably going to be the starter. But, you know, back 2 springs ago, Willis McGahee was the guy that was ripping it up.
He was ripping it up, and he's done everything you asked for him. You got to realize they got shorthanded in the Rose Bowl, and they said, hey, we want you to move to fullback and block for us. No problem. Went in there. And as you alluded to in the opening, he's an animal in the weight room. I mean, they call him the freak. He's as strong as anybody on this team, pound for pound.
Yeah, no question about that. And maybe even you don't even include pound for pound. He's right up there with the D linemen. 1st and 10, FAMU from their 22. Printers out of the shotgun. Give it to Devin Richardson. Richardson breaking free, and Jonathan Vilma has to make the tackle, but after a gain of 8, up to the 30-yard line.
It's a good call by FAMU. You've got Miami's defensive linemen so jacked up, they just run the little draw, get these guys flying upfield, gives you a little crease to get it underneath.
Miami with only one linebacker in the game right now. They have 6 defensive backs on the field. 2nd and 2 for the Rattlers. Fake to Richardson. Printers under pressure. And Big Will, it goes hunting. He was hunting for a sack, and he got a quarterback. William Joseph with his first sack of the year.
Nice to see, and as you talked about, you've got to just make this collapse. This is a nice thing for the secondary to see. Mark Stoops got to be pleased because this is a coverage sack. He's got time to throw, and then all of a sudden it gets collapsed all the way around. Big Joseph coming up the middle.
That's the only way you get sacks against this offense is when the quarterback has to hold on to the ball. On 3rd down, again Joseph chasing, and Matt Walters this time gets the sack as William Joseph ran him right into his teammate, and Matt Walters comes up with the sack. He had 3 a year ago. That's his first of 2002.
Well, that's when Walters has to go over and thank Joseph Williams because he just flushed him right out of the pocket, right into the arms of Matt Walters.
The loss was 7 back to the 20-yard line. Damon Miller on for his 3rd punt of the evening already. 10:36 left to go first quarter. Miami leads at 7-0. Ethnic Sand stands at his own 43 to receive the kick. Miller gets it away. Sands at the 48 of Florida A&M, looking for somewhere to run. Finds some room down the side. There goes Ethnic Sands, and he's got some blocking. And Sands down inside the 15-yard line. Good things come to those who wait, Dave Heffernan. It looked like he was pinned in, but Ethnic Sands, who was a high school quarterback at Miami Carroll City High School, with a dynamic punt return.
Well, that'll make you forget Philip Buchanan pretty quickly. You see it here. He waits, lets the blocks develop, nothing going, and then all of a sudden just uses flat-out speed to get to the outside, picks up his blockers, and does a real nice job of putting in Miami in great position to punch it into the end zone again.
A 36-yard punt return for Ethnic Sands, so Miami already in the red zone from the 12-yard line. Standard personnel for the Canes. Fake to McGahee. Dorsey. Kellen Winslow Jr. touchdown. Oh, what a shot from Ken Dorsey, because the coverage was pretty good, and great hands from Kellen Winslow.
Well, we talked about his ability to block. There you see the athleticism, because all he does is toss this right over the head of Levy Brown, who's got decent position inside out. Winslow using those big long arms right up over the top. Dorsey's on the money, puts it in the end zone for Miami.
And he put it in a spot where he knew his guy could get it and the DB could not.
Well, it helps when your tight end is 6'5" like Kellen Winslow is, because he's got nice long arms, throw it up top. And
he's got great hands. So Kellen Winslow very involved in the first 2 touchdowns of the season for Miami. A pancake block to help Willis McGahee score, and then a touchdown catch.
Well, you see the fake to McGahee, good block by McGahee, and then right over the top of Levy Brown, Kellen Winslow shows the athleticism that he's got and the wonderful hands to make this catch.
Wow, I mean, that's just soft hands right there.
Helps to have a guy like Dorsey put it right there, too. I mean, makes it pretty easy across the board, but nice start for Winslow. You know, everybody had talked Jeremy Shockey, one of the key guys you got to replace, one of the great tight ends that played here. Kellen Winslow making a statement so far tonight that, hey, we're going to be okay without Jeremy Shockey.
10:02 left to go first quarter. It's 14-0 Miami. The thing of it is, Dave, that in spring ball, Winslow made plays right from the start and gained Dorsey's confidence immediately in that spring practice. He was catching everything they threw to him, and Dorsey said, hey, you know what? Jeremy Shockey was a go-to guy. This kid can be a go-to guy. I've got no hesitation throwing him the ball.
Well, if I'm a tight end and you see what he did, what Dorsey did with Shockey last year, yeah, I try to get on his good side because he likes to go to the tight end. Rob Chudzinski's got an offense where they like to work the tight end, and you get some great mismatches because you've got great athleticism at the tight ends here in Miami.
Todd Severs to kick it off. Collier and Junius back to receive for FAMU. Line drive kick toward the near corner, and that's going to be caught by Collier, who takes a knee 8 yards deep, and FAMU again will start from their own 20-yard line.
Now that's one of the weapons Miami has, and we'll talk about it a little as it goes on. But Todd Severs, when you can continually, and he's got a little wind at his back, but put it that deep, it takes all the return out of it. And that's where Miami is rock solid coming back on the special team side of the ball.
And when you add in Freddie Capshaw as the punter, who's all Big East, and on the Ray Guy watch list already this year, that's a strong part of Miami's game.
Makes Donnie Solinger, the special teams coach, sleep a little easier at night.
1st and 10 for the Rattlers. 3 wide outs with a tight end in the formation. Richardson bounced off 1 tackle and picks up 3. Cornelius Green, number 98, who's in the ballgame at left defensive end, giving Matt Walters a breather, and Jonathan Vilma combined on the tackle.
Joseph Williams, again, just wreaking havoc. He's the guy that's in the backfield. Doesn't bring him down, but wraps him up enough to allow the other defense to close on him. He's wreaking havoc.
2nd and 7 for the Rattlers. Printers out of the shotgun. 4-man rush for Miami. Printers pulls it down, and he'll go down after a gain of a yard, ducking under big Vince Wilfork. That's a pretty good idea because Vince tips the scales right around 350 pounds.
Yeah, and that's on a good day, okay? That's if he hadn't had a little extra at lunch. He's a huge kid, and you're absolutely right. They take the right technique here. They get down instead of getting hit by the semi.
From Santa Lucis High School, 3rd and 6 for Florida A&M. Printers out of the shotgun, give it to Richardson, but Jamal Green, who loses his headgear, is right there to make the tackle after a gain of a yard. And they blow the play dead, although Richardson eventually bounced out of the pile.
Jamal Green was there along with everybody else. I mean, they're not going to get anywhere trying to run this ball off tackle or anything else. And it's interesting because it almost seems they've slowed out of their Gulf Coast offense. They had 1 success with this draw where they picked up a few yards, but Miami has now sniffed it out. They're going nowhere on the ground. And it's a little surprising that you're not seeing them try to spread the ball a little bit more.
Well, Damon Miller already with his 4th punt tonight. 3 returns so far for Ethnic Sands. 2 returns, excuse me, a 27-yard average. Check it, it's Roscoe Parrish now in to return the punt, standing back at the 30-yard line. And this kid's a dynamite player. Miller. Sands on the run at his 45 and gets up close to midfield, still on his feet and down at the FAMU 47-yard line. Well, Canes will again have the ball in Rattler territory as Ricky Funchess made the special teams tackle for FAMU. 7:53 left to go first quarter here at the Orange Bowl. It's Miami 14, FAMU nothing. 7:53 left to go first quarter at the Orange Bowl with Miami leading FAMU 14-0. Series history is 4-1 in favor of Miami. The only loss at Tallahassee, in fact, on FSU's field in October of 1979. 1st and 10 Miami, 4th straight possession they've started in FAMU territory. Dorsey play action. Winslow wide open inside the 30. Winslow at the 23, 22-yard line. Finally taken down by Edward Kwaku along with Alex Sportson. But it's a first down for the Canes.
You got to wonder what FAMU's doing on that one. I mean, he can't make it any simpler. Winslow just releases right down the middle of the field. He's wide open, and Dorsey's got great protection again. Picks him up right down the middle of the field. It's a throw and a catch.
Gain was 25 yards. First down from the 23. Eric Winston in motion, and FAMU went into the neutral zone. We'll see if they were drawn offside.
Yeah, Leon Scott jumped on that and made contact, so got to see which way they'll rule on this one.
When we get a chance, want to look at number 87 for Miami. Offside on FAMU. And as you mentioned, the guilty party was Scott. There's Eric Winston, the true freshman out of Midland, Texas. 6'7", 270 pounds.
He's not supposed to be playing tight end at that size, you know. I mean, that's a scary thing. You're going to send this guy down the middle of the field occasionally. Some little safety's going to come up and go, hey, wait a minute, there's some tackle coming downfield.
Let's put it this way, even in practice, he's a feisty guy.
Oh, yeah. And, well, you pull him out of Texas, he's ready to go.
On a 1st and 5, McGahee with the football escaped 1 tackle. Gets inside the 20 to the 19-yard line. Alex Sportson, number 5, the inside linebacker, making the tackle and talking a little trash. That's a little Miami-Dade County stuff going on there because Sportson's a Northwestern guy and McGahee's a Central guy. And if you know anything about high school in this county, well, they're pretty big rivals.
Well, all you got to do is look at these rosters. A lot of these kids have played against each other before tonight in high school games down here. FAMU recruits heavily down here. Gain
was to the 14. It's 2nd and 1 for Miami. That's Winston in motion. And the throw to the freshman. That's his first college catch. Puts his head down and gets a first down close to the 6-yard line. Levy Brown, number 11, in there on the tackle for FAMU, but it'll be 1st and goal for the Hurricanes.
Well, you know, if you're going to play the freshman, you might as well get him in there quickly. They just bring him in motion. He just swings it out to the flat. Wide open, and then you see the big guy puts his shoulder down. And a little greeting to FAMU
Shedrick Copeland, number 31, also in on the tackle. First and goal for the Canes from the 7. They use Winston a lot in an H-back type of role as a lead blocker, but it's easy to sneak him out in the flat. On a first and goal. Dorsey. End zone, Andre Johnson, touchdown Hurricanes. They isolate Andre Johnson. Everybody else is in tight on the formation, forcing the one-on-one coverage, Dave, and it's a mismatch.
It's an absolute mismatch, and what he does is he gets an inside release, and as soon as he does that, Dorsey knows he can put the ball right there, and it's a touchdown. You let a guy the size of Andre Johnson get inside of you when it's one-on-one like that, he's going to score every single time.
Todd Seavers on for his third conversion attempt of the night out of the Freddie Capshaw hold and the Chris Harvey snap. And Seavers is 3 for 3 on point after. 6:07 left to go here in the first quarter. And Miami with a 21-0 lead. They've scored on 3 of their first 4 possessions. And the other possession ended in a turnover at the 3-yard line.
Yeah, they were on their way into the end zone on that one when Ethnic Sands winds up tossing it up for him. But here you see it. They've got the isolation. Good pickup up front. He's got inside position. That's all they wrote. Real simple then.
Edward Kwaku tried to have the coverage. He's 6'1", 187. Andre Johnson's about 6'3" or 6'4" and 227.
Yeah, I mean, he's just such a big, strong receiver that he uses his body so well and gets it inside. I think the only thing surprising to me a little bit, Frank, is the amount that they've thrown the ball tonight. I mean, really coming in and airing it out, and Dorsey's doing what he does best. He's spreading it around to a lot of different folks.
Although when you look at it, FAMU tries to play that 8-man front. They play 4 linebackers and only 3 DBs. So they almost dare you to throw the ball in a lot of situations.
Well, they do, but and keep in mind the coaches don't want to talk about it, but they're thinking about Florida next week. You want to come out and win this game decisively, but you don't want to show any more than you have to.
You want to be efficient. You don't want to have a lot of penalties. You don't want to be sloppy in your play. You just want to do what it takes to win the game, and then you turn your attention to Florida.
Well, and so far they've done it right down the field. I mean, it's been like clockwork with the offense, not missing a beat from last year.
Well, how about the field position? All 4 drives have started inside Rattler territory at the 39, the 19, the 12, and the 47.
It does make it easier when you're only playing on a 50-yard field.
Hey, you're playing arena ball basically so far. Here's Seavers' kickoff, and again, E.J. Collier driven way deep into the end zone. That'll be a touchback. First and 10 FAMU from their 20-yard line. And you know how high-scoring arena ball is. When you're playing on a 50-yard field, this is what happens. It's 21-0. One more look at the touchdown from ground level.
I mean, that's as simple as you can draw it up. You put them out there, you get inside release, and it's over.
12 touchdowns a year ago for Andre Johnson, including the Rose Bowl. That's an average of 1 a game, and he's keeping that pace up, his first score of the year.
Well, when it comes to touchdowns, that's Dorsey's favorite target, and it doesn't look like that's going to change anytime soon.
First down for Florida A&M. Out of the shotgun. Printers on a rollout. Pressure coming. Printers fires, and it's caught up at the 28-29 yard line by Rod Miller. Pickup of 8 yards. It'll be 2nd and 2.
I think that's what we expected to see a little more. You're going to have to move Printers around a little bit to give them time to throw. You see them now getting ready to go into the hurry up. They're not going into a huddle. They'll go from the line of scrimmage.
They mark it at the 29, so it's 2nd and 1. Matt Walters is now back inside a defensive tackle along with Santonio Thomas. On an option, Printers with a pitch to E.J. Collier. Cornelius Green, nothing doing. Runs him out of bounds for a loss of 3.
Hard to run the option when you've got the speed that Miami's got at defensive end. You can't string them out like that, and what you see is Cornelius Green just does a great job staying right with him. Runs out of field.
Mark it at the 25, officially a loss of 4. It'll bring up 3rd and 5.
You see Printers here just trying to start up the option, and Green just doing a great job coming flat down the line. Takes him out of bounds.
Cornelius Green, who only played 2 games a year ago, had a toe injury which kept him out the rest of the time. On 3rd down, pressure on Printers, and Cornelius Green has his first sack of the year. So with all that pent-up energy from last year where he missed 10 games, Cornelius Green has come out and made some plays.
Well, you're going to have to fight for playing time when you look at the depth that they've got on defensive line. You don't step it up, and here is a guy that you said was frustrated all season. Says his toe feels great, and there it is, just flat up field. Big sack for Miami.
Loss was 10. 3rd sack of the night for the Hurricane defense. 4:26 to go first quarter. Damon Miller stands at the goal line to kick it away. Roscoe Parrish at midfield to receive the punt. Bit of a high snap. This is Roscoe. He'll let it bounce, and it might have hit a Miami player, and if so, FAMU has it at the Canes 46-yard line. It is FAMU ball as it hit one of the blockers. Shedrick Copeland made the recovery for FAMU.
Always a danger, and you've got to have the guy that's back there fielding that, giving directions, because guys are running down with the flyers, and you see Sharp coming downfield trying to make the block on that. Doesn't know where the ball is, winds up clipping him in the heel, and it's a fatal mistake because it gives FAMU pretty good field position for the first time tonight.
That's Glenn Sharp, the freshman. He's trying to make a block, but he's got to get it. Ball took a bad hop as far as he's concerned.
He did, but you got to rely on Roscoe Parrish to yell to let them get away from that ball.
So the turnover, the second of the night for Miami. 1st and 10 from Miami 46. Printers down the middle, and Miller could not come up with it. Al Marshall had the coverage for the Hurricanes. Al Marshall, a guy who was the dime back last year, expected to be a starting corner, was beaten out by Kelly Jennings, who has a thumb injury and can't play tonight. But look at the first 3 games. This game, Florida and Temple, they all run spread, multiple wide receiver offenses, so Marshall's going to be on the field an awful lot. On 2nd and 10, Printers. Here comes pressure from Cornelius Green, and the sack from 91 Matt Walters at the FAMU 49-yard line, a loss of 5.
And again, Matt can thank one of his fellow teammates, because Cornelius Green, great pressure upfield, flushes him out of the pocket, right into the hands of Matt Walters on the other side. Loss
was 4. It's 3rd and 14. Matt Walters, the senior from Melbourne, Florida, 6'5", 282 pounds.
Guy likes to play the game. He just has fun out there.
He's what you call a scrapper. Not the most physically gifted guy in the world, but he fights you every play. 3rd and long. Big pressure again. Printers escapes. Now looking for some help. To midfield, and tripped up by Antrell Roll at the Miami 45-yard line. So Printers got 6 yards back, but it'll be 4th and 9.
You see Andrew Williams in the game on that given pursuit from upfield already. They get good pressure here. Coming upfield, there's Williams, but he winds up collapsing and lets Printers get outside of him. And then he's dangerous when he gets outside. He's a big, strong kid. But again, Miami's speed pursuit coming down after him.
So the turnover does not hurt Miami. And Miller will kick it away. Good high kick this time. Miami's going to let it bounce. It was touched at the 4 and downed at the 1. I think they'll bring it back to where it was first touched, up at the 5-yard line. And that's where the Canes will start 1st and 10. Good special teams play there by Shedrick Copeland, number 31, who recovered what goes down as a fumble on the previous punt, as the ball touched Glenn Sharp of Miami, who was trying to block. So the Canes with their poorest field position, 2:33 left to go in the first quarter, and Miami leads it by a score of 21-0.
Here's for the Miami's coaching staff. This is what you want to be able to see. You want to be able to see if you can put a nice sustained drive together here. They've had wonderful field position. They've capitalized on it. But here now you got 95 yards to go. Put together a nice drive, chew up a lot of time, punch the ball in the end zone.
Jason Gathers, number 3, in for his first action at tailback. Eric Winston, the tight end, in motion. Gathers has the football, and he busts through. Jason Gathers just hauled down by the ankles. Up at the 25-yard line, Levy Brown, maybe at the 15-yard line, Levy Brown might have saved a 95-yard touchdown run.
I was going to take back everything I said about that long drive, because I thought he was going to go the whole way on this one. Gathers, nice kid, moved from wide receiver. They put him in a tailback when they start having some injuries. Great hole up front. And then he just gets dragged down from behind, but great job up front by Miami's offensive line.
This guy was a high school All-American running back up in Delray Beach, and he wanted to play wide receiver when he came to the University of Miami. He has played some tailback in mop-up situations before. Gathers again with the ball. And again, a nice gain on first down. He picked up 8 yards. Number 20, Neil Colsey Jr. makes the tackle for Florida A&M. And that's certainly a familiar name to South Florida football fans.
Definitely a name that will ring a bell here and in South Miami High School. And what you see here, you get to see Shirko Haji Razuli back in the lineup and pulling on the last couple plays. Looks like he's moving real well, and nice to see that big guy back in the lineup.
Shirko, after starting the first 7 games last year, had a knee injury and missed the Rose Bowl. And that's something that has stuck with him. He says, I want to get back and get a chance to really win it when I'm out there on the field. There's McGahee, who lined up close to the quarterback in a fullback slot, and he's on the move. Willis McGahee down the sideline, and he stepped out of bounds at the FAMU 46-yard line.
one of the things that Donnie Solinger, the running back coach, likes to do with all of these guys is have them play both fullback and tailback. And we talked about McGahee having to play fullback in the Rose Bowl. Here they just stick him in at fullback. They do a great job again. Sherko opens a nice hole. He makes somebody miss, and then it's off to the races. And the only thing he's mad is he stepped out himself. Otherwise, he may have been able to take it to the house.
You mark it at the FAMU 46-yard line, which means it is a gain of 31 yards for Willis McGahee. And he'll get a breather. Quad Hill and Jason Gathers in the eye behind Ken Dorsey. First down at the Rattler 46-yard line. 1:23 to go in the first quarter. This is Gathers. And now a reverse to Parrish. Parrish got one block. Still on the loose. There goes Roscoe. And this is going to be a Miami touchdown. Roscoe Parrish from 46 yards out. I said coming into the game, Roscoe's going to make a play tonight, and he does. That's a play they've used a lot in practice. The reverse to the former quarterback from Miami High School.
They do a great job with this. And you know what sells it? The fake by Dorsey. I mean, this is a fake that freezes everybody just long enough. Take a look at it now. Dorsey comes back, fakes the middle. Great job there and just hands it off. And a nice thing here, if we get to see it, you'll see Chris Myers, the offensive lineman, about 15 yards downfield right there, pancaking a guy to spring him into the end zone.
Seavers on for the extra point try. It is up and it is good. 1:06 left to go in the first quarter. Good ball handling by Dorsey. I initially thought he had given it to Gathers, but it was an excellent fake, and then Parrish on the end around. And this kid is just dynamite.
You get to see it again here. There's the fake, and Dorsey just so casual standing back there. Then they're off to the races. But I'm telling you, the thing that'll make Art Kehoe glad and everybody else, Myers downfield making blocks, offensive
carry down
downfield.
there.
And you got to like to see that when the big horses are down there making it happen. And, you know, just the talent and, again, the depth that Miami has.
This kid, Roscoe Parrish, I'm telling you right now, he will be a dynamite player for the Hurricanes because athletically he's got everything you can want. He's not a big guy. He's only about 5'8", maybe $165. But he was to his high school, Miami High, what Antoine Randall was to Indiana. He was do everything. Just put the ball in his hands and let him go. He would go back on a passing situation. If the first guy wasn't open, he'd just take off. And he made play after play after play at Miami High.
Well, we saw it earlier on one of the first punt returns he was in there. He's a little fearless on that end. He came up and caught a short punt. It may have been, you know, better off letting it go, but not afraid to come up and make it. Wants the ball in his hands, and that's what you want to see, and comes up with a big play.
Somebody said about Roscoe, he plays scared, but not in a bad way. It's because he's small, he plays like if they catch him, they're going to break him in two. So the problem is you got to catch him first.
Hard kid to catch, and you just saw it there as he puts Miami on the board again.
Well, Seavers, who's getting a workout here in the first quarter, will kick off again for the 5th time tonight, and that will be his 4th touchback.
Well, the sad thing is so far the guys that have worked the most have been Todd Seavers and Damon Miller, the punter for FAMU and the kicker for Miami, because it's just been down the field, score, down the field, score.
Todd Seavers, one of the strongest legs you'll ever run across. Kicked a 60-plus yard field goal in high school.
It's just such a vital weapon to have a guy that can put it in the end zone like that, and the accuracy. I mean, the thing that Seavers did last year that was so great was in the big games where you needed it, 4 field goals. BC, 4 field goals. Virginia Tech. When you had to have it, steps up to it.
Now 4 field goals in the 2 closest games that Miami played. Late changes for FAMU as they get an extra offensive lineman off the field. 1st and 10 from the 20. They line up in a standard eye with E.J. Collier, the running back. Collier has the football. And D.J. Williams will take him down for a loss of a couple.
He has the football, and D.J. Williams sees him behind the line of scrimmage, does a great job just coming up and closing on this. Never gets developed. Again, the surge by the defensive line up front makes them have to flatten this thing out and then let your linebackers make the plays, and that's what you want to do. You see great surge up front by the defensive line. Williams scraping right off the outside, closes brilliantly on it.
We'll talk a little bit more about D.J. Williams in just a minute. 2nd and 12, Printers out of the shotgun. Slight roll to the right. Being chased by Vilma, throws complete to Rod Miller, who got away from one and stepped out of bounds up at the 27-yard line. We'll bring up 3rd and 3 for FAMU. I want to talk about D.J. Williams, who, of course, was the #1 recruit in the country coming out of high school. a couple of years ago. He played fullback as a freshman. Last year moved back to linebacker. Was okay the first half of the year, really came on at the end, but they're looking for a breakout year from this kid.
Well, I think it's going to be huge because you do have to credit the fact that he was on the other side of the ball for a year.
3rd and short, Printers. An end around to Collier, chased by Vilma, and that'll be a loss on the play. Loss of about a yard as the Hurricane defense was not fooled.
Well, Printers is slow getting up because they run the option that way, and Andrew Williams just drilled him.
We have come to the end of the first quarter here in the Orange Bowl. Larry Coker had a smile on his face, but he has reason to smile because it's Miami 28, Florida A&M nothing. We'll be back with second quarter action here on Fox Sports Net right after this. Quarter here at the Orange Bowl with Miami, a 28-0 lead over Florida A&M. It's been all Canes despite a tipped ball that went for an interception by FAMU against Ken Dorsey and a punt that hit a Miami blocker and was recovered by FAMU. But those two hiccups, well, really that's all they've been, Dave Heffernan, is just hiccups.
They've been and done everything they've wanted to tonight. The big question is now going to be, how long do you keep your starters in? It's the first game of the season. You've got to get them some playing time, but you also don't want to risk any chance of injury. So, you know, we're 28-0 now. They're doing everything they want to do. You got to keep this group going, but you got to start thinking about when do you want to start rolling some other people in and when do you sit people down.
Well, we haven't seen Jerome McDougal tonight, who was an All-Big East third-team All-American last year. And at this point, do you risk playing him when you know you have Florida next week because he hasn't had a lot of contact? Here's some highlights from the first quarter. Touchdown number 1, 19 yards by Willis McGahee.
Again, real simple, just off tackle. He gets a great lead block, takes it in untouched.
And touchdown number 2 to Kellen Winslow Jr. as we're getting ready to go back to action. And it'll be a punt formation for Florida A&M, a 4th and 2 from their 28-yard line. And we'll have our 3rd punt returner of the night for Miami. It was Ethnic Sands, Roscoe Parrish, and now it's Kevin Beard, one of the starting wide receivers, who stands at his 40-yard line.
Look for him to go after this one.
Bit of a high snap. Here comes the Canes, and Sean Taylor nearly had a block. Beard signals fair catch and makes it at the 45-yard line, and a penalty flag comes down at midfield.
They're gonna throw the flag because they didn't give enough space. Even though he had a chance, caught it no problem. You got to give him a couple yards. They immediately threw that flag. Let's see what the call is, but I think they were all over him.
Well, whatever the call is, they have changed that rule this year. It's got to be 2 yards, and you cannot even run through the halo.
Right.
You can't come within 2 yards of the returner at any time.
Well, this one I think you'll see is a clear violation of it. And you're right, they did change it. You can't come flying by them, which guys used to do to try to distract them.
Well, the other thing is it's 10 yards instead of 5 this year, as here's John Smith with the call.
Kick catch interference. Kicking team, violation of a 2-yard halo. It's a 10-yard penalty. It will be first down.
It's 10 yards, and now, as with the case last year, and I'll name the team, Fresno State, which just sent guys down to try and decapitate people because it was only a 5-yard penalty. This year, if you do that, it's 15, and the referee has the option to eject you from the ball game.
Well, and it's a good rule change. I mean, those guys are pretty vulnerable. When you're standing back there, waving it off for a fair catch, and somebody's got a 40-yard head start to take your head off, I mean, you're going to get somebody hurt.
Yeah,
so, it's a good rule change.
And Fresno was one of the teams, which is why they changed the rule, that simply went headhunting last year, try and knock guys out of games. 1st and 10 from the 42-yard line of Florida A&M. Delay handoff to Jason Gathers. Good blocking, good yardage, down to the 33-yard line. Alex Sportson, number 5, made the tackle, but it's a gain of 9 for the Hurricanes.
Nice to see with the injuries that you've had with Jarrett Payton out and everything else, getting Gathers in there, because as much as you like McGahee, you got to have somebody in there in case he gets dinged up.
And I'll tell you what, Jason Gathers is as physically gifted as anybody on this football team. 2nd and short for the Hurricanes. Again, it's Gathers. This time he's run down by Fortson, and that's a loss back to the 35-yard line. It'll bring up 3rd and about 3. Alex Sportson had 16 tackles for a loss last year. And this is the first time Miami's had a negative play from scrimmage. So it's 3rd and about 3, ball just outside the Rattler 35. Double wide receiver to the top of your screen. Dorsey, 3-step drop, throws complete to Roscoe Parrish. Slipped one tackle, still on his feet, and stretches down to the 24-yard line. That'll be a first down for Miami, a pickup of 11 yards.
seeing some of the new offensive linemen in the game for Miami. They've rolled in Wilkins and a few others. Again, that's a group that you're going to want to play a lot of different guys to get depth so that you can guys bring them in and out. And here you see the athleticism of Roscoe Parrish again, wanting to make a miss, wanting to get in the end zone. He's one of those guys that when he touches the ball, he wants to score every time.
Wilkins in at right guard, giving Chris Myers a breather. First down from the Rattler 24. So Wilkins, of course, started the last 5 games last year after the Sherko Haji Rasuli injury. Dorsey with a pump fake, looking for his tight end David Williams, incomplete at the pylon. Edward Kwaku had the coverage.
I think you had a little confusion on that one because Dorsey tried to pull the string on that one almost. I think either we've got a miscommunication running the wrong route here. You see Eric Winston in at fullback. They pick everybody up. He's got time to go, but he's looking downfield on the pump, and you got to hitch and go, and I don't think we ever had the go part of it.
Third, make it 2nd and 10 for Miami. 13:08 left to go second quarter. Canes with a comfortable 28-0 lead. Dorsey gives to Gathers. Behind an Ed Wilkins block. Still going and finally racked up after a gain of 8. Kwaku made the hit, number 21.
You get a chance here. You see Wilkins actually kind of get stuffed, but Gather showing great patience. As long as he stays on his block, when you've got backs like that, you just keep them occupied. It'll make it happen.
Chris Sessions, number 33, was actually the guy who made the big hit up on top. It'll be 3rd and 3 for the Canes. Ball at the 17 of Florida A&M. Gathers. Finds a crease and gets to the 15-yard line, but he's going to be a yard short of a first down. So now on 4th and 1, do you go for it? Or if you kick a field goal, are you kind of rubbing it in? It's kind of one of those situations. It's only the second quarter.
Well, we just saw big Eric Winston come in, not Todd Seaver, so they're going to go ahead and try to punch it. And I agree with the call. I think because you don't need to kick the field goal. It doesn't do you any good, so see if you can keep the drive going.
Couple tight ends in for Miami. Ethnic Sands, the only wide receiver in the formation. This is Gathers. Really has nowhere to run, and he's going to be stopped short. FAMU will take over on downs.
That one's going to get the coaches a little irate. Art Kehoe, take a look at that film later on because you don't get much of a surge up front. Never opens up. And here you got to just punch it, and that's going to be key to be able to do it down the road. You see him just coming off right side here. Nothing fancy. Quadrine Hill, the lead blocker. He's got nowhere to go on this thing.
43, Ricky Funchess made the penetration and overpowered Quad Hill on the block. And then got a lot of help. So FAMU takes over on downs at their 16-yard line.
Larry Coker, coach of the year last year. Hard not to give it to him when you take over a program and just run the table.
Printers on a rollout on a 1st and 10. Throws and almost intercepted. Should have been a pick by Sean Taylor. That would have been the first of his career. And at practice, they do 10 push-ups for that.
Well, he's going to do push-up, but what he's going to regret more than anything else, he sees the end zone on this one. He's looking down the end zone. It's just overthrown. Vilma came in great blitz on the outside. Taylor, great break on the ball. And, I mean, that puts him in the end zone.
Taken over for the departed Ed Reed onto the NFL first-round draft pick of the Baltimore Ravens. And Reed had 21 interceptions to be the all-time leader at UM. Printers on a 2nd and 10 under pressure, has some room. He'll scramble out to the 25 and run out at the 27-yard line. And that should be enough for a first down.
He's smart enough going to pick up the first down. He's been getting hit a lot, so gets what he needs and gets out of bounds. Miami just a lot of pressure upfield, but lets the left side of it all collapse.
Sean Taylor, number 26, 6'2", 220, maybe even 6'3", has all the physical ability in the world to be a great safety.
Likes to hit, too. Likes to hit a lot.
On 1st and 10. And William Joseph just buries Devin Richardson for a loss back to the 23.
Speaking of liking to hit, you know, I don't think he's been blocked all night. I mean, he just off the snap is in the backfield, and, you know, all the accolades that they've laid on him, he's on everybody's watch list. Just one little move to the outside, and then you see him close. They're figuring if they get him to go to the outside, they can be quick enough to get up. Not with him.
No way. Loss of 4. 2nd and 14. Printers out of the shotgun. 4-man rush for Miami. Down the middle, and this time Sean Taylor nearly, or make it Mo Sykes, nearly had another pick. Maurice Sykes, the junior out of Monsignor Pace High School in Miami, almost had his second career interception. He had one last season.
Well, they thrived on turnovers last year, and they thrived on scoring off turnovers, and they're doing
there they go. They're doing the push-ups. Taylor and Sykes both did them.
And you hear it from the crowd. Hey, those are two they should have had.
Well, that was a tougher one than the one to Taylor.
Well, it was. But, you know, you get your hands on it, you're supposed to catch it.
3rd and long for the Rattlers, a situation they do not want to be in. Pocket collapsing around Printers, who makes a throw, and incomplete up at the 40-yard line. Intended receiver was Petrus Lauriston.
You had Mo Sykes and company. He was surrounded by about 3 Hurricanes. And Printers does the smart thing and tosses that one out of bounds because there was no way he was going to get it to him.
Casey Printers said, wait a minute, they didn't play like this out in the Mountain West Conference.
No.
They didn't play defense like this.
Well, you figure with the tradition at Miami, too, they're doing those push-ups because tomorrow the phone may be ringing from Ed Reed and Buchanan and Ruff calling these guys saying, hey, what are you guys doing?
Exactly right. Damon Miller to kick. Roscoe Parrish will take this line drive kick at the Miami 40. Got away from the first tackler. There goes Roscoe. Roscoe with a nice cutback, tripped up just inside the FAMU 40-yard line. Rashad Pompey, number 30, might have saved the touchdown there as Roscoe brings it back into FAMU territory, a return of 24 yards to the FAMU 36-yard line.
Pretty sweet to see. That kid is going to be special, and you've seen it tonight, and that's what Miami needs. I mean, they've always had guys on special teams that can make big plays. There's the guy that's going to do it for you.
28-0 Miami, 10:35 left to go second quarter. Next weekend, bragging rights will be decided in the Swamp. Watch as the defending national champion Miami Hurricanes take on the Florida Gators. Get a second look at this historic matchup. Tune in Sunday at 5 right here on Fox Sports Net. A couple guys in the truck. Pretty pumped up about that game next week. There are
a couple guys in the booth pretty pumped up about that.
Yeah, but the Gator guys are the ones in the truck.
Yeah, well, hey, for whatever reason, we got a blue moon. There's 13 Sundays in whatever months, but we get to play them again. That's all that matters.
1st and 10 from the Rattler 36-yard line. FAMU coming on a blitz. Dorsey steps up and throws on, just overthrows Andre Johnson inside the 5-yard line. One-on-one with Edward Kwaku. And Dorsey just missed him.
Well, a little surprising, Kent Dorsey getting in the face of one of the FAMU guys. Not what you expect to see out of Dorsey, but they do get a little late pressure coming underneath, and he just overthrows it because of that pressure.
Neil Colsey Jr. applying the heat.
Well, and that's who Dorsey had a few words for, which is not what you see out of Ken Dorsey.
You've seen it occasionally in the past. He's a competitor. Make no mistake about that. Dorsey with play action. Over the middle to Andre Johnson, and it's a catch at the 20-yard line. That'll be a first down for the Canes.
That's usually the way you see Dorsey respond when somebody gives him some promise. Just come back, throw the ball down the field.
Gain was 16 yards. Ken Dorsey in the first quarter was 5 of 8. 2 touchdowns and 1 interception.
You got to put that little asterisk by the interception, though.
Well, that was like the Penn State game last year where he hit Kevin Beard in stride and Kevin bobbled it up in the air, and Penn State got a pick on what should have been a Miami touchdown. Dorsey resets Andre Johnson to the right side of the formation, lower part of your screen. And Dorsey to throw again, looking for Eric Winston, who was all tied up with his defender, Edward Kwaku, and 2 officials throw flags.
Yeah, he was tied up for a reason. He was getting mugged out there by Kwaku, and you're going to see, again, nice isolation there, going to the true freshman. They just release him out of the left side. He's got him there. Going to get by him, going to be beat right here, and he just ties him up. And you see the flags come raining in. That one's an easy call.
And John Smith talks it over with his officiating crew, and they'll mark it off. Line of scrimmage was the 20-yard line. The foul occurred at the 7.
Pass interference against the defense. Penalty is at the spot of the foul.
And it'll be spot foul at the 7-yard line. So it'll be 1st and goal for the Canes.
Look at some of the first quarter stats. McGahee averaging 15.3 yards a carry. Of course, Roscoe Parrish has got him beat because he was averaging 46. He had the one run for 46 yards.
1st and goal from the 7. Andre Johnson, the only wide receiver. Winston and Winslow in as a double tight end. This is McGahee, and he's taken down for a loss by Alex Fortson back at the 13-yard line. A loss of 6.
Yeah, they blitz the linebacker, 6-foot linebacker, 225 pounds out of Northwestern, comes on that one, and nobody picks him up. And this is one of the concerns for Miami, because it's nice to be able to be flashy and move the ball down the field, but you got to be able, when it's crunch time, to bang out and get that first down that they didn't get on 4th and 1. Bang it in when you get down close here, not having to throw the ball all the time.
That may have been a little bit of inexperience on the part of Quad Hill, who's the blocker as the fullback, and he didn't see the linebacker coming. 2nd and goal. Dorsey straight drop back. Wide open, Ethnic Sands at the 5. Diving for the end zone, and he got in for the touchdown. Ken Dorsey's 3rd touchdown pass of the night. Ethnic Sands made the catch at the 5 and got to the end zone, completing a 13-yard score. It's 34-0 Miami.
Well, Ethnic Sands wanted to make up for the interception in the book and let Dorsey get a touchdown in the book. Dorsey's already the leader in University of Miami history of touchdowns. And when you look at the guys that have played here before, that's a pretty impressive stat.
5th touchdown of the night for the Hurricanes. It comes with 9:02 left in the 2nd quarter. Todd Severs with his 5th straight extra point. And it's 35-0 for the Hurricanes. 9:02 left to go in the 2nd quarter. Ken Dorsey's been very efficient tonight. He's led Miami to 5 touchdowns. It's Miami 35, FAMU nothing. We'll be right back at the Orange Bowl here on Fox Sports Net. Miami Hurricanes ranked #1 in the coaches poll, tied for #1 with Oklahoma in the writers poll. They got plenty to cheer about right now. 9:02 left to go 2nd quarter. And they are shutting out FAMU by a score of 35-0. Sebastian the Ibis showing off now 5 championship rings. Miami with 135 yards rushing so far tonight. Florida A&M is a -4.
Couldn't quite figure out how nobody played games and Oklahoma and Miami shifted into polls to tie it up. I mean, you know, aren't you supposed to be playing games and then how you rank it? And Oklahoma plays the other night, gets a win. Defensively look real solid, but I'm not sure that they're a top team when you look at the quarterback play that they've got out in Oklahoma.
Todd Severs again to kick it off. This time against the breeze, what little of it there is tonight, probably around 10 miles an hour. E.J. Collier and Marco Junius back to receive. And Collier at the 4. Got away from one tackle, and then he is just swallowed up. Howard Clark and Marcus Maxey, number 24, along with number 15, Buck Ortega. The number 3 quarterback is on the first kickoff return unit. We also had a flag down at the 20-yard line.
Late flag thrown, so I don't know. That may be a little push and shove, a little trash talking. I'm not sure, but
it's against FAMU.
Came in late.
Yeah, unsportsmanlike. But let's take a look at Buck Ortega, who's really a good athlete. He's about 6'5", 220. How many quarterbacks are covering kicks in this country? I would suspect probably not many.
Not a lot. He does a nice job coming down there. Right in the mix of it.
Well, I say this, Buck, he wants to play. And he's willing to do anything. It harkens back to your day when Kyle Vanderwijn, who was the 3rd quarterback behind Vinny Testaverde and Bernie Kosar, played on special teams.
Well, I was thinking more with the Dolphins back here, a guy by the name of Crash Jensen. You know, he was a quarterback, said, I'll play wherever you want me to play. Just let me be on this team, and made a nice career out of special teams and backups and everything that he did.
Buck, whose father, Ralph, played for the Dolphins, was a linebacker in the NFL.
Well, I'll tell you, we'll see him taking snaps if this continues at this pace.
1st and 10 from the Rattler 9-yard line. Inside shovel pass to Devin Richardson, and he is swallowed up for a loss.
Boy, DJ Williams closed on that and saw that immediately and took him right off his feet.
DJ Williams' 2nd tackle for a loss tonight.
See here, they just started coming to the left, a little shovel pass inside, and here comes DJ Williams. Bang! Saw it from the get-go.
2nd down and 12. Call it a loss of 2. Printers on a roll to the right. Chased by John Villman. Printers just has to get rid of it.
Now that may be the first time it actually cleared the entire bench. That's how far he threw that outside.
Well, Miami's doing something interesting on these rollouts. Jonathan Vilma's reading it, and if he sees there's not an inside play, he's just heading a beeline for the quarterback.
Well, what it's allowing the ends to be a little more aggressive. They don't have to slow play it, so the ends are coming hard because if he breaks contain, Vilma's on him like he's radar locked on him coming in.
3rd and 12 for FAMU. Again out of the shotgun. Miami shows blitz, but they don't come. Printers chased out of the pocket and sees DJ Williams and just falls at the 2-yard line.
Yeah, I don't know if you can count that as a tackle when the guy surrenders ahead of time and just says, okay, I'm going down.
That was a Brett Favre versus Michael Strahan.
But again, you get a chance to see the speed of Miami's defense. He tries to roll left with it, got nowhere to go because of the pressure from Cornelius Green. Goes to the right and just says, hey, he's going to get hammered anyway.
Well, Damon Miller standing at the back of his end zone. Roscoe Parrish out at the FAMU 41-yard line to receive the kick.
Here's one where they're going to go.
Good snap. And Miller's best punt of the night. This is going to be over Parrish's head. And he gathers it in at the 34-yard line. Now looking for some blockers.
Got a crease.
Oh, what a move. Roscoe in midfield. And he'll go down at the 45-yard line of FAMU. Alex Fortson made the tackle. 7:16 left to go in the second quarter. Miami will start a possession once again in Florida A&M territory. It's the Hurricanes 35, the Rattlers nothing. We'll be right back. 7:16 left to go second quarter. Miami 35, Florida A&M nothing, and we may have already seen the last of Ken Dorsey's action tonight. He has led Miami to 5 touchdowns, and with the 1st and 10 at the FAMU 45, Derek Crudup is in. You see his numbers from last year, 10 out of 22, 100 yards, 1 touchdown, and no interceptions. Derek, the sophomore from Deerfield Beach, Florida. He'll put it up on first down. And open is Ethnic Sands, who can't hang on at the 27-yard line. Edward Kwaku had the coverage.
That was on the money, and Crudup showing no hesitation to come out throwing. And it's the interesting situation that Crudup's in, because you got to keep in mind that there's a guy sitting on the bench that can't play this year by the name of Brock Berlin that a lot of people are saying is the heir apparent. Well, I think Derek Crudup wants to say, wait a minute, there's no heir apparent. It's going to be me.
Well, he has already come out and said, I'm not giving anything away. We'll compete, and we'll see. Joel Rodriguez is the new center for the Hurricanes. Jason Gathers with the football. We'll get about 6 yards to the FAMU 39-yard line. Ken Dorsey's numbers, and they're pretty good. 8 out of 13, 110 yards, pretty efficient. 3 touchdowns and the 1 interception on the bobble by Ethnic Sands.
Not a bad opening night. When you think about it, they did what they wanted to do with Dorsey in that first team unit. They came out, they dominated, they got down the field, didn't show their hand that much.
3rd and 5 for the Hurricanes. Ball just inside the FAMU 40-yard line. Talib Humphrey, the fullback, in motion. And Crudup throws through the hands of Humphrey and incomplete at the 38-yard line. Joe Sanders had the coverage, but Humphrey could not hang on. And Miami will be bringing Todd Severs on. And it looks like they may be trying a long field goal.
Well, you're up 35-0. What's the downside of go ahead and letting him test his range a little bit early on in the season? Shown his leg feels obviously good tonight because he's been booming the kickoffs. Problem getting guys in and out of the game, though.
Yeah, they're probably most of the offensive linemen, the first unit guys who were on first field goal, were surprised. Capshaw will hold just inside the 48-yard line. A 58-yard attempt, and it is a short. So FAMU will take over with 6:18. Larry Coker says, hey, why not? Let's give Todd a shot. He's got the leg strength. But didn't seem like he hit that one real well.
No, and again, a lot of times with the confusion, they were waiting for the lineman to come in and everything else. You know, you don't let that kicker set into his rhythm too well, and all of a sudden it's a hurried snap, and didn't look like he launched into it very well.
Let's take a look at the top 10 in the coaches poll. Miami, Texas, Oklahoma, Tennessee, Florida State, Colorado, who lost this weekend, Florida, Nebraska, Washington, and Michigan. And Michigan beat the Huskies up at the Big House.
A couple names that Miami's going to get to tie up with this year.
Here's Printers with the give to Devin Richardson, and he'll get only 1.5 yards. Vince Wilfort, number 75, there to make the tackle. After the missed field goal, FAMU took over at the previous line of scrimmage, which was their 40-yard line. Call it a gain of 1 yard. 2nd and 9, 5:55 and the clock moving. Here in the second quarter, Miami with a 35-0 lead. And now Printers has to call a timeout. A little confusion over the personnel package or the play that was called, and FAMU is charged with their first timeout.
See Miami starting to roll in some other defensive linemen. San Antonio Thomas is in, defensive lineman. Another big kid, 6'4", 302 pounds.
Now he'll be juiced up for next week's game because he originally signed with Florida. And then number 56 for the Hurricanes, they wouldn't let him in school for one reason or another. Didn't have the scholarship available then. And so he said, well, Miami's waiting for me, and he came back.
Well, I'm just glad to see he saw the error of his ways and, you know, came away from the dark side. But next week will just be ecstatic. I mean, it's a game that's unfortunate because it should be played year in and year out. Florida's got such a great program in Miami, and so to see those two stop playing each other for whatever reasons, it's nice to see it back up there, and be interesting to see Ron Zook stepping into some big shoes with Spurrier gone. What are they going to be like? They're playing UAB tonight. Probably going to be a lot like tonight where they're not going to show a whole lot. So we're going to find out what it's all about next week.
Some of the large crowd in attendance tonight. Lower bowl totally sold out. Upper bowl mostly filled as I look around. Probably 65,000 here in the Orange Bowl tonight for the opening game of the 2002 season. 2nd and 9. Printers under center. Pitch back, and Devin Richardson is hauled down by Santonio Thomas for a loss back to the 32-yard line. The aforementioned Santonio Thomas.
Well, hey, timing is everything. We're talking about him, and then he steps up big time. There you get a chance to see the big 6'4", 302-pound junior. Great athleticism. Just shoves off the lead block, trying to kick him out there. Takes the offensive tackle, says, hey, I'll drive you and the tailback down.
Loss was 8, 3rd and 17. 4 wideouts in the formation for Florida A&M. Printers with the shotgun snap. 4-man rush for the Canes. The pocket collapses, and Vince Wilfork will get credit for that sack.
That's a big collapse when it's Wilfork driving it up the middle. They're coming from all sides. You know, you got to be thinking, Printers is thinking, you know, TCU wasn't that bad. You know, maybe I should have stayed there.
Well, he is seeing something he has never seen before tonight.
Well, he just got no shot. You see it there. It's a great shot. They're on the right, they're on the left, and they're coming up the middle.
He's got nowhere to go. Yeah. Well, Damon Miller again on the punt. And the electrifying Roscoe Parrish at the Miami 40-yard line.
Be interesting to see if they try to kick away from him.
Miller hangs this one up. Nice kick. Roscoe tried to make the over-the-shoulder grab, picks it up on the bounce. And he'll go out of bounds at the Canes' 29-yard line. 1st and 10 for the Canes, 4:08 left to go second quarter. It's Miami 35, Florida A&M nothing. We'll be right back with more second quarter action at the Orange Bowl after this. Where can you find a treasure trove of humor, highlights, and unscripted insanity? Watch Tom Arnold, John Sally, and a crew of celebrity guests on the Best Damn Sports Show period each weeknight as they talk about what they feel most passionate about, sports. Weeknights at 10 o'clock on Fox Sports Net. As we return to play, 4:08 left to go second quarter. Frank Fort and Dave Heffernan with you from the Orange Bowl. Derek Crudup in the second unit on for the Miami Hurricanes. Crudup with a first down pass attempt. Runs away from pressure and loses the football and then falls on it back at the 29-yard line. It'll go for a loss of 1. Number 13, Jeff Green, was there to cover Crudup.
Well, he does a nice job of buying time in the pocket, but the one thing he's got to do once you make up your mind to go ahead and pull it down and run, he's got to do that. Still left it hanging out there. Gets it knocked loose, but fortunately winds up hanging on to it himself. You see here, he's under pressure, does a nice job of buying time. Very calm in the pocket, buys a little bit of time, but now he's got to tuck it away when he decides to go. Just gets stripped and has a nice chance to fall back on it.
Leon Scott, number 56, forced the fumble. 2nd and 11 for the Canes. This is Jason Gathers. Gets about 3 yards. Tripped over John Edwards, number 57, who was tied up with offensive tackle Tony Tella. Gain was 3 out to the 32-yard line. It'll be 3rd and 8. Canes now with an offensive line. Couple of redshirt freshmen, Rashad Butler and Tony Tella at the tackles. Joel Rodriguez is the center. Veteran Ed Wilkins at one guard and Joe Fonagrassi, number 68, at the other guard. Jason Gathers with 9 carries, 41 yards.
Rashad Butler, big kid. They like him and they want to work him into a 3-tackle rotation.
Miami taking a timeout, their first, with 2:56 left to go here in the second quarter. So Art Kehoe's bunch is going to get a look at some of these kids tonight. You mentioned Butler and Tony Tella, who's a young man out of Houston, Texas. Joel Rodriguez will be the heir apparent to Brett Romberg after this season.
Well, it's important, and you saw it with Miami losing all of the guys to the NFL last year. You've got to have guys that have played a lot. I mean, one of the interesting stats when you look at Dorsey is he's put up all those numbers. He's only played 2 complete games last year. I mean, he winds up getting pulled out, but you've got to be able to roll guys in behind him. Defensive line, they've been doing it like a turnstile all year. You want to do the same thing so that you've got depth year in and year out. Miami's been able to do that by getting big leads in a lot of their games.
Quarterback coach Dan Werner on the sideline talking it over with Derek Crudup. And there is Greg Brenner, the umpire tonight. He is the brother of Florida Marlins producer here on Fox Sports Net, Jeff Brenner. So a little FaceTime for at least one member of the Brenner family. His brother is busy producing a game a little bit north of here up at Pro Players Stadium this evening.
Oh, they're still playing that game?
Yes, they are.
Oh, okay. Well,
they decided not to go on strike.
They all kiss and made up. Huh?
Yeah. I mean, I just think my own personal opinion is they weren't really stupid enough to go on strike, because it's like, here's a huge pile of money. We can't figure out how to split it up. That just doesn't make sense. 3rd and 8 for the Hurricanes and Derek Crudup. Derek with time, and that's complete to David Williams, who gets out to the 45-yard line for a Miami first down. Levy Brown made the tackle for FAMU. And that is David Williams' first catch as a Miami Hurricane. He played extensively last year. Not extensively, but he played when they went to 2 or 3 tight ends down on the goal line. But that is his first catch as a Hurricane.
Well, when you get into that rotation and you're the 2nd and 3rd guy coming in, you're in there to block. They don't get to throw you the ball much. Here he gets a chance to get out in the flats and get a catch.
Gain was 12 yards at the 44. Crudup with play action. Lots of time. Now the protection breaks down, and Derek will scramble out. Made a good move and got up to the 49-yard line, picked up about 5 yards.
Well, that's one of the elements of the game that you get out of Crudup that you don't obviously get out of Ken Dorsey, and that is he can make a positive happen on that. Dorsey, not a guy that you expect him to run a whole lot, but he gets good protection here. I mean, this is just downfield. He's got to find somebody to throw it to. Line does a good job of picking everybody up, and then it breaks down a little bit. He does a nice job of picking up positive yardage up.
Joe Sanders, the inside linebacker, made the tackle. It'll be 2nd and 5 for the Canes. We're under 2 minutes. Minute 55 to go here in the first half. Jason Gathers with the football. We'll get into Rattler territory at the 47-yard line. Marco Williams, number 17, made the tackle. That'll be about a yard shy of a first down.
You clearly see as they start to roll some of these younger guys in, the holes are just a little bit smaller. I mean, the first group was out there. Guys were running 8, 9 yards before they began to get touched. Here, Jason Gathers having to work a little bit harder to pick up this yardage.
3rd and 1 for the Canes at the FAMU 47-yard line. Eric Winston lined up as the H-back in the backfield. Fake to Gathers. Crudup with the rollout and a throw over the head of the intended receiver, Akeem Jala, freshman from New Orleans, Louisiana, true freshman. And that'll bring up 4th and 1 for Miami, and they'll send the punt team on the field. I like to see a little shorter route on the 3rd and 1. If you're going to play fake and roll out, just maybe a quick flip to the tight end or the fullback coming out of the backfield. That's, a 20-yard throw downfield.
Yeah, and it never got a chance to develop. I mean, Marco Williams, the corner, coming hard off there, and as soon as Crudup went to roll, he was there, and that's why he's got to throw it away.
Levy Brown back to receive the kick, and now whistles will stop play. And it's going to be a timeout called by Florida A&M with 1 minute and 2 seconds left to go here in the 2nd quarter.
Freddie Capshaw must be happy because he was thinking maybe I won't even get a chance to kick it all tonight.
Well, it looks like Todd Severs is going to punt. Freddie had a foot injury in a scrimmage a couple of weeks ago. Got a punt blocked and injured his foot, and I'm not sure that it's back to full strength. And Todd Severs, who does an excellent job as a backup punter, he's got a strong leg, and he punted in high school, so he's got the techniques. There's Don Solinger, who is the running backs coach and the special teams coordinator for the Hurricanes. Don, a longtime coach here in South Florida, both with the Canes and at the high school level. Had some great teams at Southridge High School.
Oh, yeah, and he does such a great job, and I think it's sort of underappreciated sometimes with Miami special teams. I mean, the coverage, the punt coverage last year was outstanding. we talk about how good Sievers and Capshaw are, but, you know, that's also got to be developed by the coaches.
So on 4th and 1, Todd Sievers stands at his 38-yard line. Hangs it high, not too deep. Takes a FAMU bounce. It was touched up at the 24-yard line. And that's where they'll bring it back. FAMU will start 1st and 10 from that point. Only a 24-yard punt from Sievers. So he made a liar out of me.
They kind of pooched it, and it was a little further out for the pooch. You know, I'd like to see that pin down a little bit deeper, but you know, stepping in to do the job for Capshaw. Efficient, but not quite what you wanted.
Leon Searcy is the guy with that #1 shirt on. Lamar Thomas, it looks like, with the cane shirt on, but the white shirt with the blue #1 on the back is Leon Searcy. And yes, that is Lamar.
That's Lamar and Alonzo Highsmith down on the sideline. And again, one of the great traditions of Miami of seeing these guys come back each week to support the team.
On a 1st down, a give to Devin Richardson. He gets across the 25 to the 27-yard line. DJ Williams and Jonathan Vilma on the tackle, and Bernie Kosar making a visit to Ken Dorsey.
A famous Bernie, but the wrong one. But and it's interesting because that's the guy, obviously, that the parallels have been drawn to between these two quarterbacks, and they've bonded between them. And you do see a lot of similarities.
And of course, maybe the next guy in line, Brock Berlin, right there, soaking up a little wisdom. Richardson again, and ball comes loose.
Miami's got it.
Like Miami has it. I think Andrew Williams forced it, and the Canes have recovered at the 32-yard line of Florida A&M. Antrell Roll, it appears, #6, got on the football. And there is a Rattler injured, but let's take another look. I think it was 99 Andrew Williams who stripped it.
Yeah, comes in, does a great job of wrapping around and just pulling the ball out. What you train him to do, and then you're right, Antrell Roll does a nice job jumping on the open field. Everything going very well for Miami tonight, which is what you had hoped for coming into this game.
There's a Rattler who's injured. And it appears to be #72, Shedrick Moten. The Canes will have the football at the FAMU 32-yard line.
They got 12 seconds left in the half. FAMU was just trying to run the clock out, to get in the locker room to see if they could make some kind of adjustment at halftime. What do you do? And so I think see Miami probably just kneel on this and let it go.
That machine that blows out that mist of air, and I've sat in those, and it is very comfortable on a hot day or a hot night. Those things are invaluable. As you look at Andrew Williams, #99, and Vince Wilfork, that's a couple of big bodies right there.
Well, it's an interesting thing when you look schedule-wise, too. I mean, we had a 7 o'clock start tonight, and that hurts Miami a little bit because the advantage they have of training down here, and you get somebody in the heat, but what you do see is you've got a lot of people in the seats. I mean, Saturday night in the Orange Bowl was very refreshing to see coming into the game today. A lot of folks out tailgating. And in the past, when you got a game like FAMU, you know, you're looking at some of your smaller crowds, and tonight they got a nice crowd here.
Well, there's a lot of FAMU graduates down here who also root for the Hurricanes because it's Division I and Division I AA. Here's some of the players that Miami lost off last year's national championship team. Of course, the 5 first-round draft picks, making 9 in 2 years, plus 7 other guys from last year's team were drafted. So, I mean, a lot of talent has left this team. They have a lot of talent still here, but some of it is inexperienced.
Yeah, and that's what you've got to find out, and that's why this type of game tonight is almost difficult because it's been so easy for Miami. You want to tune up to get ready to play Florida, but you'd almost want a little bit more of a challenge, but you got to make sure that you do everything right. And so far, they've fired on all cylinders, at least the first group.
So Miami has 12 seconds to play with here at the end of the half.
Of course, one of the other things we talked about the crowd as we see the Marching 100 lining up around. A lot of folks to see the halftime show because that's as good as it gets.
The FAMU band puts on quite a show, no question about that. They are lined up around the east end zone here.
A lot of fun to watch them.
They work, I'll tell you that. They really work.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's well choreographed, and it is just exciting to watch.
A lot of fun to watch, definitely. The FAMU Rattler Band, and we'll actually be doing a number with the Miami Band at halftime. Well, Derek Crudup in the second offensive group, which includes right now 2 true freshman wide receivers and a 3 wide receiver set. Both Sonoris Moss and Akeem Jala are in the game for Miami. Crudup steps up, throwing down the middle, caught by Roscoe Parrish, touchdown Miami. How about that? Derek Crudup had one shot at it, and he made it work to Roscoe Parrish.
Okay, so they didn't kneel on the ball. I mean, they come out and Roscoe Parrish, a guy we're going to talk about a lot this year, when he gets the ball, wants to get in the end zone, does it here, nice throw and catch, and then finds a way to get in the end zone afterwards, put points on the board. Only took 8 seconds of the 12 remaining seconds.
4 seconds left. As Todd Sievers puts up his 6th extra point of the night. And with 4 ticks left on the clock, it is 42-0 Miami. Roscoe Parrish. Talk about a guy who's dangerous and running after the catch.
Well, again, and you'll see it. I mean, it's a nice throw down the field, but he's still got to work to get it in the end zone from here. Knows it, makes a nice little move, spins, see ya, right into the end zone.
And I'll tell you what, Derek Crudup did a nice job feeling the pressure here, coming from the backside, stepping up in the pocket.
Stepping up. See right here, the watch Parrish knows the guy's behind him, spins back to his right, just enough to get him into the end zone.
And the guy's just a water bug. Yeah. He's like Mercury. Well, his second touchdown tonight, and my feeling is before Roscoe Parrish is done here, he's going to have a lot of touchdowns because he's got good hands, he's got tremendous speed, he's got great moves, and he's a playmaker. And last year the Miami coaches said when this guy gets on the field, he's going to remind you of Santana Moss. We think he has that kind of ability. We're not positive, but he has those kind of jitterbug moves and just like Mercury on the loose, and we think he can make a lot of plays for us.
Of course, we've got Santana Moss, his younger brother on his team, was on the field on that last play. He's saying, hey, I want to remind you of Santana Moss.
Well, right now, Sonoris isn't as far along as Roscoe. Roscoe's had the red shirt year, and one of the great things he did last year at the Rose Bowl was he imitated Eric Crouch on the scout team and did a tremendous job. And all the players were saying, he was actually better than Eric Crouch at doing what Eric Crouch did, with all due respect to Eric.
Well, maybe Nebraska should have put him in and they'd had a chance, because they never had a chance from the get-go. But that is vital when you're running an option like that, to have somebody that's got the athletic ability to do it.
First action now for Mark Gent, the backup kicker out of Fort Lauderdale St. Thomas Aquinas High School, as he will kick off. DJ Collier and Marco Junius back to receive for the Rattlers. This is Collier at the 6. And breaking loose. Taken down by Mark Gent with some help from another true freshman, Travaris Bain, son of Tolbert Bain. Played here at Miami in the early 80s, and that is the end of the first half. We're at halftime at the Orange Bowl. It's Miami 42, Florida A&M nothing. It's been all Canes. 6 touchdowns, nothing for Florida A&M. We'll be back with our halftime activities, highlights, and more right after this. Start of the third quarter here at the Orange Bowl with the Miami Hurricanes leading Florida A&M 42-0. Frank Fort along with Dave Heffernan with you here on Fox Sports Net. A dominant first half by Miami, and just dominating every phase of the game. You see rushing yards -15 for FAMU. Of course, that includes the sack totals, Dave, and Casey Printers really had very little chance to do anything in the first half. Yeah, he was a guy I think we expected a little bit more of, but this game has gone exactly what you'd expect it has. When you look over the last 4 games, I mean, they've all been, it's 191-6, I think, is the overall scoring. This is keeping right on pace for it. So they've come out and I think done what they wanted to do in the first half. Printers only 4 out of 14 for 24 yards. Dorsey was a very efficient 8 for 13, 110 yards, 3 touchdowns. Willis McGahee has a touchdown run. Andre Johnson with 3 catches. Roscoe Parrish with a 46-yard run on a reverse for a touchdown and a touchdown catch from that man, Derek Crudup. So Roscoe Parrish among the many standouts tonight. Matt Walters had a couple of early sacks. So, only 1 first down for Florida A&M in 30 minutes of football. I think it's important when you look at Dorsey, too. I mean, very efficient numbers. But what he does best, of those 8 completions, 4 different guys. I mean, he likes to get the ball around, and that's why he's been so successful. And the touchdown pass to Kellen Winslow that made it 14-0. That's the 18th different player Dorsey has thrown a touchdown to in his University of Miami career. Well, as we go throughout this season, I mean, you can watch the records are just going to continue to fall. I mean, Dorsey's rewriting his way into every record book. He's already the touchdown pass leader at Miami, and now with his 3 tonight, he has moved into 3rd place in Big East Conference history, tying Glenn Foley, the ex-Boston College quarterback, with 61 touchdown passes. Well, the one he'll get tonight is when they get the victory out of here
he has the most wins of any quarterback, and that's the one that he has said has been the most important to him.
Yeah, and he said that's exactly what he said during the week. The statistic I love the most is victories, because you could throw 40 touchdown passes in a season, but if you don't win your conference or you're not competing for a championship, then it doesn't mean anything.
All is said and done, it's the W's that matter.
Lennon Nesbitt will kick off for the first time tonight as Florida A&M will boot it away to start the third quarter of play. Andre Johnson and Jason Gathers, and Andre takes it from Jason. Andre to the 25 and bumped out of bounds up at the 34-yard line by the kicker, Lennon Nesbitt. Miami will start 1st and 10 as they'll mark it at the 35-yard line.
That's a kind term to say bumped out of bounds, because Andre Johnson put his head down and just about killed the kicker. I mean, again, you talk about the size of him. You just look at him, I mean, and realize for a receiver, he is just so big and strong.
Stole Kevin Beard's hat from him right there.
Hey, when you're that big and that strong, you can take what you want.
Taking my lid away from me.
Line, 1st and 10.
There was a flag as Florida A&M was offside on the kickoff. Miami will graciously decline that. Take the ball at their 35-yard line. Derek Crudup, who came in midway through the second quarter, completed 2 out of 5, 44 yards and a touchdown, is the quarterback for Miami. They start with standard personnel. Quad Hill and Willis McGahee in the eye behind Crudup. McGahee's got the football. And Willis picks up 4 yards. Leon Scott there on the tackle for Florida A&M. Helped out by John Edwards, so the 2 defensive tackles combining to bring down McGahee after a gain of 4.
I think what you're going to want to see Miami want chew up a lot of clock, pounding this out on the ground a little bit. Now it's time to see what you can do with McGahee. Let him get into a rhythm. Let him carry the ball several times in a row and see what happens.
McGahee now with 6 carries for 60 yards and a touchdown.
Not a bad average.
See the outscoring of Miami over FAMU in the 5 meetings, including tonight, the last 5. Crudup completes it over the middle to his fullback, Quad Hill, and he gets to midfield.
This is one of the things I know Donnie Solinger and the staff likes about Quad Hill. He's got very good hands. And again, it's that combination. You know, Miami's never had a real classic fullback a lot of times. They're tailbacks that are either playing out of position or a little bit bigger. Here's a guy that gives you some nice hands, throw to him out of the backfield. You look at what they've done in the past with Najee Davenport. They'd like to see that happen with Quad Hill.
Quad Hill, one of 6 Hurricanes who are sons of former NFL players. His dad, Eddie, played on this very field for the Miami Dolphins. 1st and 10. Loose football as a draw play was attempted to Jason Gathers, and that's another turnover.
Levy Brown got it for FAMU.
Jason Gathers and Derek Crudup, it looked like a little mix-up on the exchange. It was supposed to be a draw play.
Yeah, I don't think he ever got a handle on it. We'll take a look at it. They come back here, and he just opens up to him. He's never got possession of it. You see it. Put it there, but Gathers has got to be able to tuck that away. Levy Brown comes up, and off the get-go, now you got a first negative play from Miami, turning the ball over right to the open the second half.
3rd turnover for Miami. Printers on a 1st down. The rollout and the throw to Chuck Allen. Makes the catch in Miami territory at the 47-yard line. Charles Allen out of Killian High School, his first catch of the night.
Which is surprising, because he was a guy they talk about really featuring. They like to go to him, and I know Billy Joe had talked about this group of receivers being one of the best he's ever had. They're all 6'4", 6'5", and run about 4.2, 4.3s.
2nd and short, about 3 yards to go for the Rattlers. Printers on a roll to the right, chased by Jamal Green, and just throws this one out of bounds. Jamal Green had the initial pressure. Printers turned around, and Cornelius Green was right in his grill.
That's a Green sandwich. You know, he turns in one way and he's got to wheel back the other way, and he's had that happen all night. The minute he starts to get pressure one way and tries to make something happen on the other way, he's got pressure coming from that side. Miami's end's playing very, very well, and that's going to be one of the strong suits, obviously, they have this season.
3rd and about 3 for the Rattlers. Printers throws, tipped, out of bounds, incomplete. DJ Williams had excellent coverage on Rod Miller, number 10. DJ, who's had 2 tackles for loss tonight, is really standing out among many others on this Cane defense tonight.
Yeah, he's a guy that you're going to want to see step it up. We talked about him a little bit. You know, came here, defensive player of the year, moves over to fullback, and now is really starting to come back into his own. as a linebacker.
So on 4th and 3, FAMU will punt. I mean, their punt safe formation, not really rushing, it's just the 4 defensive linemen. Miller hangs it up. Roscoe Parrish signals for a fair catch and makes it at the 10-yard line. Well, that's where Miami will start, 1st and 10. 12 minutes, 49 seconds left to go here in the 3rd quarter. The Canes with a comfortable 42-0 lead over the Rattlers. Miami, by the way, Dave, dressed 9 true freshmen tonight. And I believe the only one of them that hasn't gotten in the game so far is John Petty, the freshman kicker.
There was a lot of talk about that, and you know, that's something that's happening more and more. I mean, not just with the departure that Miami had. You're seeing teams now with kids leaving early for the NFL. If you're going to get them in here as true freshmen, they've got the ability. A lot more kids are playing.
1st and 10 for Derek Crudup in the offense at the 10-yard line. Jason Gathers stacked up right at the line of scrimmage. No gain. Tackle from number 56.
Got a flag
Leon
down
Scott, and a flag in the secondary. On a running play, it's out at the 18-yard line. Derek Crudup is indicating it's against FAMU. But he doesn't have a striped shirt on. Personal foul against the Rattlers.
But he was right.
Penalties in the first half. This is for Larry Coker. He's got to be smiling about this. No penalties
Dead
in
ball.
the first half. Now again, you're playing an opponent
defense,
that's not in your league, not in your class,
play
but still,
was over to the head,
no offside, no
yards,
motions, no jumping,
down.
that kind of thing.
It's an excellent point, and you know penalties, and you've played a lot of guys, and that's what you want to see. You want to see the efficiency, mistake-free football, and they did it in the first half. Now, starting in the second half, little sloppier. They're not able to move the ball with any steadiness, but now maybe with penalty they can get a jump started.
Derek, 3 out of 6 for 55 yards and a touchdown. 15-yard penalty gives the Canes a first down at the 25-yard line. 6th flag of the night on the Rattlers. Crudup under pressure and nearly stripped of the football. Penalty flag down as well. Sack will go to Tim Green, number 13. It's a hold on Miami, which will be declined. The sack will stand back to the 19-yard line.
Well, they're rolling a lot of guys in. Jim Sikora is in at offensive tackle, right offensive tackle, and he just gets beat right around the corner. Again, doesn't move his feet well enough and comes off the corner. And that's going to another negative play for Miami. This is not what you wanted to see the start of the second half, obviously.
Miami with Jim Sikora, Ed Wilkins, Joel Rodriguez, Jim Wilson along the offensive front, and I'll check the left tackle. It's Rashad Butler. So a lot of inexperience in there aside from Rodriguez.
10 yards from previous spot remains first down.
FAMU will take the result of the play, but they're going to mark it at the 15-yard line. And I guess they did accept the penalty. So it's still 1st and 20. You would think that they would take the sack and the down.
Yeah, it would be the logical way to do it because you get the yardage back there anyway.
1st and 20 for the Canes. Jason Gathers with the football. Nice block from Quad Hill in front. Gathers out to the 32-yard line before Neil Colsey Jr. makes the tackle. Pickup of 12.
It's a nice way to earn it back, and you get a chance you'll see at the end of this play here with Jason Gathers. Again, just a off tackle. Crudup on the fake. Gathers does a nice job of following his blockers. Quad Hill, nice block. You see Gathers having fumbled before it, tucking it up with both hands. Make sure he's not going to put it on the ground again.
Make it a gain of 17. Correct myself. It's 2nd and 3. And Gathers again. He'll have a first down out to the 37-yard line. Number 56, Leon Scott, with the tackle for the Rattlers, but the Canes will move the chains with 11:29 left to go in this 3rd quarter.
Well, and this is ideally what you want to be able to do. I mean, nothing fancy, but you want to be able to chew up the clock here and move the chains consistently. Miami's second group has sputtered a little bit, getting more into sync on the last couple of plays.
1st and 10 for the Canes at their 37. Through a 3-step drop under pressure, throws high and incomplete, out of bounds. Neil Colsey Jr. coming on a blitz.
Coming on the backside, he's not picked up at all. And, you know, you can't have that happen. That's the backside of your quarterback. Crudup takes a shot, and lucky that they don't get a turnover on it. Here you see, you watch at the top of your screen, they're just bringing Neil Colsey on the outside here. Nobody picks him up. There's actually 2 guys coming without a hurricane on them. You get a blown assignment there. Good way to get your quarterback killed.
13 Jeff Green in there with pressure also. Jason Gathers 14 carries for 71 yards so far, 5.1 average, 2nd and 10 for Miami. FAMU coming on a blitz. Gathers busts the draw play up the middle, and he'll pick up 9 yards. Levy Brown made the tackle. He's had a busy night for the Rattlers. It'll be 3rd and 1.
He has Talib Humphrey in at fullback, does a nice job a little bit late, but picks up the blitz that allows this to spring forward.
Levy may be cramping up a little bit.
That's what it looks like. He's grabbing the back of that hamstring. He's been very, very active tonight. You get a chance here. Talib Humphreys, he picks it up late, but does a nice job. Gets some good blocking up front.
Joel Rodriguez, number 70, taking his guy down.
That's the way you want to draw it up.
Well, FAMU, they're not backing off. They're blitzing pretty much every play. Trying to create some turnovers, make something positive happen in this game. They figure, Dorsey's not in there. He's not going to, Crudup's not going to pick up a blitz as readily as Ken Dorsey, as you see Jason Gathers' numbers.
That'll be good work for this second line and for Crudup.
Jason Gathers with the football, has a first down, a whole lot more. 30, 25, and down to the FAMU 20-yard line.
Well, there's the risk you run when you bring the blitz a lot, because all you got to do is get through that initial line. They've got 7 and 8 up in the box. They bring them. Once you get that crease, Gathers makes them pay for it.
Kwaku and Copeland, the 2 cornerbacks, combining on the tackle.
Good job here, and they just pull the left guard around. He opens it up, and there goes Gathers. Got a nice job, Jim Wilson, coming around and springing that out for Miami.
34 yards on the carry for Jason Gathers. So he is over 100. 105 yards for Jason. First down at the FAMU 20. Gathers again with the football. And again he finds a hole to the 10, to the 5, in the house. Jason Gathers with a 20-yard touchdown run. And the Canes have extended their lead to 48-0.
Does a nice job following Talib Humphreys. Got to lead back, banging it right off tackle. Gets it to the outside and then just uses speed.
Well, Jason Gathers, as I mentioned, he was an all-state running back at Spanish River High School in Boca Raton. Came to the University of Miami, said he wanted to play wide receiver. I never really asked him why. Not sure if it's he felt he could be a bigger playmaker, but the kid is a natural running back. You can see his moves and his instincts.
Well, and he does. He does a nice job of letting it develop in front of him. He's got a lot of patience, and we saw that a lot last year with Clinton Portis. But here you get a good lead back by Talib Humphrey.
And it's 49-0 Miami. .9:53 left to go in the 3rd quarter. Miami 49, FAMU nothing, and next stop will be at the Swamp. Let's take another look at the Jason Gathers touchdown, capping a 90-yard drive for the Hurricanes.
Good lead block, follows his blockers into the end zone, then just speed to get to the outside.
Good block by the wide receiver out there. Didn't pick up the number on that, but that's something that Reggie Wayne and Santana Moss really took a lot of pride in when they were here, is blocking guys downfield to spring runners, and that's something that has been passed on to the younger receivers. Here's Mark Gent to kick off for the Hurricanes. E.J. Collier at the 6. And Akeem Jalla, the true freshman wide receiver, makes the tackle at the 24-yard line. Jalla, number 80, good-looking athlete. Goes around 6'3", 200 pounds, and Miami expects big things out of him in the future. Has the potential to, if he gets into the weight room, to be an Andre Johnson type of body.
Scary how big and strong some of these kids come when you see them coming out.
FAMU will start 1st and 10 at their 24-yard line. Akeem Jalla, big wide receiver. Printers out of the shotgun. Quick step and throw, and completes it out to the 25-yard line. First down yardage should be had there by Marco Junius, who was tackled by Glenn Sharp, the freshman.
Going against a true freshman, and they get inside position on him. He's right there to make the tackle afterwards, but a little bit of a positive play for FAMU.
Glenn Sharp, number 31. We have timeout for a measurement, but number 31 for the Canes, true freshman out of Carroll City, 5'11", 175-pounder. Glenn Sharp had 17 interceptions in his college career, and Larry Coker said when he signed this freshman class, we're going to need some of these freshman DBs to play. Now, you don't anticipate the injury to Kelly Jennings, which is keeping him out of this game, but he said, you know, 2 or 3 of these kids are going to have to play because we need them in backup roles, and probably they're going to be some good special teamers also.
Well, the good news with Kelly Jennings is he should be back and able to play for Florida is what they're hoping. I mean, he had a broken thumb, was casted, he re-injured it, he had surgery last week to put a pin into it, but they're hoping that that's going to be secure enough and they can cast it up and let him play against Florida.
Jamal Green signaling to the Hurricane sideline he wants to come out of the game. Maybe an equipment problem or some sort of hand injury. He's looking at his hand and his wrist. And Andrew Williams races onto the field to replace Jamal Green. It is a first down for FAMU. It's only their second of the game, I believe. They had one at halftime. Printers under center. Gives it to Devin Richardson, and big Vince Wilfork with one hand on the blocker, one hand on the running back, just throws him down for a loss of 2.
When you weigh 350, or you at least say 350, and you're somewhere in that range, I mean, you can just jam everything up. Nice to see him. He blows right through the right guard and says, here, while I hold you, let me get the running back too, and I'll put you both down. He never even goes to the ground. I mean,
that was just sick.
He's huge.
That was sick. 2nd and 12. Printers out of the shotgun. Shovel pass and incomplete. Devin Richardson was held and a flag is thrown. He was an eligible receiver, so they're going to call Miami for defensive holding.
Well, Wolfberg had a handful of jerseys. He said, hey, wait a minute, you're not going to run that shovel pass. Let me just hold you here. Unfortunately, the officials saw it just like everybody else in the stadium did. Again, big man just getting great penetration. Says here, oh, doesn't have the ball yet, though.
An incomplete pass, but it is a penalty on Vince Wilfork.
Holding defense.
Does that mean it's pass interference on a guy that weighs 350 pounds?
That might be a first, although they officially called it holding.
Right.
I mean, you could have technically called it interference.
Not a whole lot of guys his size get called for it, but you know, you get penetration like that, he's looking to grab anybody. You know whether the guy's got the ball yet or not.
Well, he was thinking he's going to get the ball eventually, so
yeah, well,
tackle him.
A little quick, that's all.
10-yard penalty. It'll be 2nd and 2. Printers out of the shotgun. And a nice catch by Junius. Glenn Sharp, now they're going to call it incomplete. They say it hit the ground. Glenn Sharp had excellent coverage on Marco Junius.
Well, when they got up off the ground, Sharp had the ball, so I don't think he hung on to it. Little surprising, unlike the offensive counterparts, we're seeing a lot of the defensive starters staying into this game. We're not seeing that many guys roll through other than those who we expected. And I would assume pretty soon we'll start to see some wholesale substitutions.
Santonio Thomas and Howard Clark come onto the field for the Hurricanes. As it's a 3rd and short for FAMU, 3rd and 2. Got a couple of big bodies in the backfield, a couple of linemen. Richardson has stood up and he will not get the first down. No gain.
When you say big body, you ain't kidding. They put Anthony Hester in the backfield. He's a senior, he's 6'3". They list him at 380. He may be the only guy that look at Wolfork look a little small, but they put him at the H-back. You see him up at the top of the screen if we get a shot of him here. That's 65. That's not 6 and 5. That's actually one guy that says 65.
And credit Maurice Sykes, number 36, the strong safety, with coming up there and making the tackle for no gain. Roscoe Parrish back to receive the punt from Damon Miller. Roscoe, driven back, will wisely let it go over his head at the 7-yard line and into the end zone for a touchback. So the Canes will have it 1st and 10 at their 20.
He had tried that little over the shoulder before and wound up putting it on the ground. So when you're standing inside the 10-yard line there and it's sailing over your head, as much as you want to make a play, smart thing, let it go, get the touchback, start out on the 20.
He's a redshirt freshman. He's learning. Good crowd on hand tonight at the Orange Bowl, and most of them have stuck around certainly through the halftime show to see the FAMU band perform with the Miami band. And there's Buck Ortega in the game at quarterback, his first action behind center for He's played on special teams tonight.
Local product out of Gulliver.
He and Sean Taylor were high school teammates, won the state 2A championship. FAMU showing blitz. Buck fumbles a snap, and FAMU may have it. They do.
That's not quite the way you want to start and take your first college snap, but you know the nerves are there. Even though You're up 49-0. I don't care what you say. You're coming in. This is a big thing. Get a little tight, and you pull out a little bit early. You're not quite ready to go, and puts the ball on the ground.
Fourth turnover of the night for Miami. Just pulled out a little too quickly.
Looked like a good snap. I mean,
Alex Fortson, number 5, made the recovery.
A little bit of jitters, but this, we talked about substituting some of those defensive guys. Well, we may see the starters stay in here right now because they're knocking on the door, and I'm sure Miami would like to see this continue as a shutout.
First down at the 18-yard line. Obviously the best field position that FAMU's had all night. Now they're having some trouble getting personnel on the field, and they'll call a timeout as the play clock was down to 5 seconds. 7:49 left to go. Here in the third quarter, it's Miami 49, FAMU nothing. FAMU has not scored in their last 20 quarters against Miami. Scored a touchdown, I should say. But they have a chance here at the 18-yard line. Let's take a look at the schedule for the Hurricanes this year, and certainly after this game, it gets very challenging. They have to play at the Swamp next week. And of course, everybody looking forward to that game. At Temple, BC, Connecticut, and then Florida State. And you know, Florida State is a good football team. People think they may be down after 8-4 last year. I got news for you. They got talent.
They got a lot of talent. And I mean, they almost stumbled in their opener. They went on the hang at. And a lot of times that's what a team needs as a building block. And all of a sudden you see them gain momentum. And I tell you, they're going to come in. They're going to come into the OB undefeated.
At Tennessee on November 9th, that some people think may be the toughest game for Miami. Then Pittsburgh on a Thursday night at Syracuse, and of course the arch rival of the Big East, Virginia Tech, here on December 7th. A 12-game season this year, the extra weekend on the calendar, and all teams in Division I are playing at least 12 games. Some with the Classics are playing 13. You have some teams with potential to play 15 games with conference championships and then a bowl game.
And yet we can't figure out a playoff system. Okay, I mean, if you're letting them play that many games, come on, let's create a playoff system so that we can get a true champion all said and done.
First and 10 for the Rattlers at the Miami 18 after the turnover. Printers under center. Fakes the end around. Got away from John Square. Throws complete to Lutu, his tight end, who's just lit up by Sean Taylor.
Well, we talked earlier that Sean Taylor likes to hit. There's a little bit of taste of it. He's one of those guys in the secondary that would rather have a big hit than an interception. He gets a chance here to come tee off on a tight end, and you get a chance to see why we think, this kid's in a Benny Blades type mold, a big, strong safety. Watch him come up here and just bang, big hit.
Gain was 2. It'll be 2nd and 8. You see he has the size to be a great safety. We'll find out this year if he's got the instincts. On 2nd and 8. Printers throwing complete to Miller, spun away from one tackler and then is taken down by Greg Threet, the freshman, and that actually went for a loss of a yard.
Again, you see the closing speed. These guys may be young, but they got a lot of talent. Threet, good speed coming up. Antrell Roll. See the throw just out to the flats. Printers getting rid of the ball pretty quickly. Antrell Roll doesn't hang on to him here, but Greg Threet, great closing speed, ramps him up, knocks him backwards.
3rd and 9 for FAMU. Miami crowding the line of scrimmage. 4-man rush. Printers with time. Throws to the corner and overthrows Miller. And it'll be 4th down, and Printers comes up limping.
I'm surprised it took this long. He's been taking a beating all night long. And here again, you get good Miami coverage. Sean Taylor back to Antrell Roll back there, and he's got it just overthrown because he's got nowhere to go with it.
FAMU will send the field goal team onto the field with 6:17 left to go in this third quarter. You can tell Printers is frustrated. He wanted to go for it, I think.
Yeah, I'm sure you do at that point, but the FAMU coaches think, look, you take whatever points you can get.
Juan Vasquez out of Coral Reef High School in Miami-Dade County, a junior, is on to attempt the field goal from 35 yards away. Charles Allen is the holder. Vasquez kick is on the way, and it is good. 35-yard field goal for Juan Vasquez, who was only 3 out of 11 last year, but he puts FAMU on the board with 6 minutes and 12 seconds left to go here in the third quarter. It's now Miami 49, Florida A&M 3 as the Rattlers cash in on the Miami fumble. They turn the turnover into 3 points. We'll be right back from the Orange Bowl after this here on Fox Sports Net. 6 minutes, 12 seconds left to go in this third quarter. Miami leading Florida A&M 49-3 as the Rattlers get their first points of the night. A field goal from Juan Vasquez after the turnover. Lennon Nesbitt will kick it off. Roscoe Parrish to the left of your screen, and Sonoris Moss, the younger brother of Hurricane legend Santana Moss, to the upper right portion of your screen. Nesbitt's kick will go out of bounds on the near sideline, and Miami will take the football and start their possession. We'll see if Buck Ortega goes back into the game after fumbling his first snap as a Miami quarterback, allowing FAMU to recover and get a field goal. The defense is probably telling Buck on the sideline, look, kid, you better handle a snap.
Oh, yeah, it's not going to go over well. That you like to see the shutout if you're the defense. They've worked hard on it, and Ortega just the jitters. And it's interesting, though, you see the crossover. We saw Vasquez make that kick. He's thrilled. It's 49-3, but he's thrilled because he's from down here, and he's kicked one against the Canes in the Orange Bowl.
Can always tell his grandkids that.
That's it.
Ortega at quarterback, 1st and 10 from the 35. Gives the football to Jason Gathers. Gets 2 yards. Number 57, John Edwards, making the tackle for FAMU.
Robert Bergman, big redshirt freshman, leading the way out there, doing a pretty good job. 6'5", 273 pounds.
They mark it at the 36, so it's a gain of a yard. It'll be 2nd and 9. Canes along the offensive front now with Tella, Bergman, Rodriguez, Wilson, and Rashad Butler. A couple of true freshman wide receivers, Sonoris Moss and Akeem Jala. And a true freshman right now at fullback, H-back, and that is Eric Winston. Gathers has the ball behind Winston. And Gathers will go down for no gain. Ricky Funchess, number 43, makes the tackle. And it'll be 3rd and 9.
Well, I think Tella was the last one. I think you're right. We've got all of the freshmen into the game that he said we're going to play, a true freshman. And that's one of the things you wanted to get out of this game is to get guys, let the jitters get out, because it's going to be a little crazy at the Swamp next week.
No doubt about that.
So, you want to try to knock out some of those butterflies now.
It'll be more than a little crazy. 3rd, still 9 for the Hurricanes. And we have movement along the offensive front. That'll cost Miami 5.
See if Buck Ortega gets a chance to try to air it out a little bit.
Looked like Rashad Butler might have raised up out of his stance a little bit. We'll move it back to the 31-yard line.
There's always nowhere to hide when you do that. You pick your hand up a little bit or whatever, and everybody on the defense is pointing at you. It's like, whoops, you can't just quietly put it back down and hope nobody saw it.
And this from a former offensive tackle who knows of which he speaks.
Yeah, I've been caught doing that.
So it's 3rd and long for Ortega and the 3rd-string Miami offense. FAMU crowd in the line of scrimmage, and here they come. Ortega, quick throw, too high for Akeem Jala. You know what? If he puts it in the breadbasket, Akeem's got a chance to make a 1st down.
Yeah, he's got to hit him on stride there because the pass was about 4 yards short of the 1st down. But again, a lot of times, and that's jitters. I mean, you see a ball sail like that, he's looking at those linebackers coming, and he's got to just settle into it a little bit.
So on 4th down, we have another true freshman, John Petty, in for his first action, and he will punt for the Hurricanes. Levy Brown back to receive the kick. Brown telling everybody to get away from it, takes a Miami bounce inside the 35-yard line. And will roll dead at the 30 where Joe Fanagrassi downs it, and that's where FAMU will take over 1st and 10 at their 30-yard line. So not a pretty punt from John Petty, but an effective one.
A little bit of end-over-end knuckleball, but gets a decent bounce and gets the right result out of it.
39 yards on the kick. And we have a new quarterback for Florida A&M as well. It's Reggie Hayes, a senior out of Miami Central High School. 6 out of 15 last year, 92 yards, no touchdowns, no interceptions. 4 wideout package for the Rattlers. Hayes delivers complete to Charles Allen, and he's up to the 40-yard line and should have a 1st down. Maurice Sykes on the tackle along with John Square, the defensive end, coming back to make a play. They mark it shy of the 40, so give him 9 on the completion. It's 2nd and a half a yard.
You're going to a hurry up, no huddle.
Hayes on a roll to the right. Throws down the sideline and well over everybody's head. Only receiver in the area was Rod Miller, number 10.
You see the drop off John Wood in at left end from Miami and gets good penetration, but you don't see the speed that you've got with the first teamers. Allows him to get outside, but then he's got nobody to throw to once he gets out there.
John Wood, another one of those true freshmen. 9 of them dressed tonight, and they've all played. Wood, number 69, out of American High School in Miami. It's 3rd and a half yard, and still Hayes out of the shotgun. 4-man rush, trying to quarterback draw, got away, and will have a first down, but not much more as Jarrell Weaver, number 58, made the tackle. Hayes needed a half a yard, he got a yard and a half.
Well, he got a yard and a half because he put a nice move on John Square, who had him in the backfield for a loss. But you see here, Hayes right here, just a nice quick little move, gets away from Square, just enough for the first down.
3:24 left to go, third quarter. It's 49-3 Miami. First down for the Rattlers at their 41. Hayes throws and completes it to Miller at the 45-yard line for a gain of 4. Glenn Sharp out there on the coverage. We'll bring up 2nd and 6. Counting down to the 3-minute mark here in the third period of play.
I'm sure you've got the starters and the defensive coaches starting to try to light these guys up. You get the young kids in there. You want to see them get it, shut it down. Hayes
out of the shotgun. Again, Miami rushes 4. That ball is dropped by Allen, who then takes a lick from Antrell Roll.
Antrell Roll's a good reason that ball was dropped. Allen is coming across the field, and he's looking face to face with Roll, and never gets a chance to get on it. It's actually a pretty good throw. Hits him right here in the hands, but you look, there's Antrell Roll coming up. He's like, whoops.
He saw that receiver's head kind of taking a look.
Where is that guy?
And didn't look the football in. 3rd and 6. Hayes again out of the shotgun, trying to take off on the run. Got away from Wood, got away from Weaver, and will have a first down in Miami territory at the 44-yard line. John Square and Maurice Sykes combining on the tackle.
Hayes making something happen, but this is just poor tackling by Miami. They've got him contained in. Nothing fancy. This is a draw that they've run the last few plays, and Hayes just makes some people miss.
9 yards on the carry by Reggie Hayes. 2.5 to go in the third quarter. Hayes throw complete to Charles Allen at the 35 of Miami, where Antrell Roll makes the tackle, and that should be maybe a half a yard short of a first down, where the linesman on the near sideline is marking it.
Well, they come back with the same exact play that Allen dropped before, figuring, hey, he was open, let's try it again. They throw it to him this time, he hangs on to it. Big Wolford back in the game for Miami as FAMU's moving down the field. You're going to see some of these guys possibly coming back in.
Like Antrell Roll either has some kind of equipment problem. Doesn't look like he's shaken up, because one of the equipment guys.
No, he's back. Yeah, he's back in.
Gary Bunker, one of the equipment guys, was making an adjustment on the helmet. 2nd and a half a yard for the Rattlers. Rashad Pompey now in at running back for Florida A&M. Reggie Hayes out of the shotgun. Again, looking for that quarterback draw. He'll have a first down and ducks down before Howard Clark can deliver a blow at the 32-yard line. Pickup of 3. It's a first down for Florida A&M.
Well, they go with what works. You know, the draws work for them, so why not keep going with it? And they're able to move the chains again. This is the first drive that we've seen FAMU be able to put together.
Hayes out of the shotgun on a 1st and 10 from the Miami 32. Pulls it down and got away in the backfield. Picked up 1 block, and now Greg Threet will take him down at the 30-yard line, a gain of 2. So Reggie Hayes, if nothing else, is pretty shifty.
He is, and that one wasn't a design draw. He was going to throw that ball downfield. Coverage was real good, so he just tucks it down. Again, makes guys miss. Picks up a little bit of yardage.
Well, that's the difference between the first unit, maybe the second and sometimes third unit guys in for Miami. In the first half, that was a sack.
Yeah, those guys weren't missing in the first half.
Under a minute to go in the third quarter. Little confusion defensively for Miami, and they're going to get illegal substitution flags called on them.
Dead ball.
Lack of communication there by the
substitution. Defense. 12 men on the field. 5 yards.
5-yard penalty.
Well, you see it happen. I mean, you're getting young guys into the game. You're rolling bodies in and out. And somebody's not quite paying attention. You get too many of them on the field.
Greg Mark, the defensive line coach for the Hurricanes. Was former great player here as well, a defensive end.
You see him, though. He's jagged up. He wants to be able to shut down this drive. He didn't want to give up any more points.
2nd and 3 from the 25. Hayes stands in and throws too high, intended for Dennis Bonga down at the 10-yard line. It's pretty hard to overthrow Bonga because he's 6'5".
Yeah, well, he put some air under it, though. Bonga doesn't have enough to get up and get that ball.
Now, I think that would qualify as a super squirter, don't you?
That might.
That's some big artillery right there.
You need that for the noon game. You could keep the crowd calm down with that one.
3rd and 3 for Florida A&M.
Sebastian, armed and dangerous.
Hayes out of the shotgun.
I'd watch the draw.
Quarterback
there
draw.
It goes.
And he got away at the 20, falls down to the 19-yard line. That'll be a first down for FAMU as he picked up 6. Well, that's been their best play tonight.
It is, and no question. Drops back real quick, boom. And this one, he doesn't even give much of a fake on the draw, but does a nice job of just getting enough of a crease to pick up the first down.
20 seconds left to go here in the 3rd quarter. Hayes again out of the shotgun. Chased by Vince Wilfork. Lobs it up and incomplete.
Oh, and they're going to call Wilfork too.
Yeah, they're going to get Wilfork for a late hit, personal foul, roughing the quarterback.
That's a dangerous throw, though. He just kind of lofted that thing in midair. It's like a jump ball.
Hayes saying, anybody get the number of that truck that just hit me? Vince heading over to the sideline where Greg Mark's got his hands on his hips.
Oh, I'm sure he's going to hear it because
we need to be a little smarter about that.
Those are the kind of things, doesn't matter in this game, but those are the kind of things that can make and break a game. Stupid penalties like that.
That'll be half the distance. And we'll put it just inside the 10-yard line in a 1st and goal for Florida A&M. 6 seconds left to go here in the 3rd quarter. Florida A&M trying to get on the scoreboard in the end zone. They've got a field goal. See Hayes with 24 yards on 5 carries, and that has by far been their most effective play.
And there it goes again.
There he goes again. But this time he'll go down for a loss of a yard. Santonio Thomas, number 56, there to make the tackle at the 11-yard line, and that will end the 3rd quarter of play. We played 3 full quarters here at the Orange Bowl. It's Miami 49, Florida A&M 3. We'll be right back here on Fox Sports Net.
Tonight on Beyond the Glory, get an intimate look at Fort Lauderdale native, 3-time Super Bowl champion Michael, the playmaker Irvin. From the success on the field to his failures off, Michael's lucky to have survived. Watch Beyond the Glory tonight at 11 on Fox Sports Net.
As we return to play here in the 4th quarter with Miami holding a 49-3 lead, Reggie Hayes has FAMU at the Miami 10-yard line. This drive started at the Rattler 30. It's a 2nd and goal.
It's been all Reggie Hayes.
Hayes out of the shotgun, and he runs it, and Hayes gets to the 5-yard line. John Wood makes the tackle. It'll be 3rd and goal. Well, nothing fancy about this. They're just shotgun snapping to Reggie Hayes and telling him, do something.
Well, even on that one, they've gotten away from the whole draw factor. We're just going to go with it. They did a lot, and then Santori Thomas did a nice job before of staying home and held him for no gain. Here, he finds a crease again, though.
3rd and goal. Hayes under pressure to the end zone and dropped. Dennis Bonga had a touchdown and dropped it.
Hayes had to throw this thing like a jump ball, but it still should have been a touchdown. Bonga's going to regret that when he sees that one again. when they watch films on this one.
Well, it's 4th and goal now. Bonga is 6'5", 190 from Tallahassee.
I mean, great pressure on Hayes here. Makes him throw it up as a jump ball, but should have caught a little behind him, but he's got both hands on it. That's the ones you expect a senior like Bonga to be able to pull in.
So it's 4th and goal for the Rattlers from the 4-yard line. Hayes out of the shotgun. Fakes the draw, and Hayes runs, dives, and scores a touchdown.
Well, it's only fitting. He's the guy that took it all the way down the field on the drive. Little fake handoff. He makes a beeline for the goal line, punches it in for FAMU. That's a big score for them.
FAMU's actually outscored Miami now 9-7 in this half. Reggie out of Miami Central High School, so again, he can say, hey, I scored against the Canes at the Orange Bowl.
Exactly. Well, he's going over there going, hey, see, if you'd had me in this whole game, it'd be a different story. You know?
Well, he can say that.
He can say it. Wouldn't have been a different story, but he can say it all he wants.
Vasquez on to attempt the extra point. Out of Allen's hold. And it is good. And with 14:22 left to go in the game, it's now Miami 49, Florida A&M 10. Reggie Hayes with a 4-yard touchdown run, capping off a 70-yard drive for the Rattlers. .22 left to go in the 4th quarter. Miami 49, Florida A&M 10, as the Rattlers have scored in their last 2 possessions, a field goal and a touchdown, spanning the end of the 3rd quarter and the start of the 4th. A 4-minute, 53-second drive as Reggie Hayes capped it off with a 4-yard touchdown run.
This was all Hayes, and again here, just a little fake. He makes a beeline for the end zone, knows where it is, leaps out, gets the ball across the plane. Figured, hey, I worked this hard, man. I want to see if I can get it punched in. Does a nice job of getting it in.
The Canes were up 49-0, and it is all cosmetic, and actually they have taken margin of victory out of the BCS formula this year, although this game would not count because it's a 1AA team toward Miami's total in the BCS. High pooch kick going toward the far sideline and out of bounds, and again, Miami will take over at the 35-yard line.
Well, I just figure at this point with 49-10, now we can't quite see the coach's box down there, but you figure they got a videotape of the Florida game and they're breaking it down yet? I mean, I know they never want to talk about it till this one's over, but you know that that's where the work is all going to right now.
Well, the Canes will have it with 14:16 left in the game. Illegal procedure on FAMU. Kickoff out of bounds, and by rule, the ball goes to the 35-yard line. So let's see if Buck Ortega can get something going here. He's got Talib Humphrey and Jason Gathers with him in the backfield. True freshman wide receivers in Sonoris Moss and Akeem Jalla. And a true freshman tight end in Eric Winston.
And a left tackle move.
And Brad Kuntz, who's a walk-on. So they didn't even get the snap off. And it's a penalty.
Well, again, I mean, you sit back here sometimes, you think, hey, it's 49-10, there should be no pressure. But when you're stepping into a ball game for the first time, I don't care, your mom, dad, your grandmother are all sitting in the stands because those are the people that are still left to watch you play. Still pretty nervous.
1st and 15 for Miami at the 30-yard line. Ortega, 3-step drop, and throws low, intended for Akeem Jalla. Got all kinds of backup people on there for the Canes right now. I mentioned Brad Kuntz, the walk-on. Alex Garcia, another walk-on, in there on the offensive line. FAMU's not playing it straight. I mean, they're coming after Buck Ortega. Miami picks it up well, but Ortega hit as he throws, and it falls incomplete.
Ortega not having a great night, but you're right, they are coming after him, and it's good work for him. But, you know, these walk-ons have got to take advantage of it because given Miami's schedule, there's not going to be a whole lot of chances where they're going to be able to clear the benches like this and play.
See where the pressure came from. And number 48, Clarence Laws.
Does a nice job catching him in the arm. He's actually lucky he's able to get it going forward so that he won't get a fumble out of him.
3rd and 15 for Miami. They're just daring Buck Ortega to throw. Here comes the blitz again. And Ortega, and that's just a poor throw.
Yeah. You know, there's a miscommunication here somewhere because he's thrown to an area, and Akeem Jala is the only guy around there, and he's 10 yards down the field.
Well, I think the other thing is Buck's throwing off his back foot.
Yeah.
So Miami will have to punt. And Akeem going, come on, man, get it out there. I need my first catch
exactly.
As a Hurricane.
You know, true freshmen got to help each other out.
Levy Brown will come in to receive the John Petty punt. Good kick from Petty. Brown at his 30. And absorbs a big hit from Jarrell Weaver. Only 2 yards on the punt return. And we'll take a timeout. 13:48 left to go in the ball game. It's Miami 49, Florida A&M 10. We'll be right back from the Orange Bowl after this. .48 left to go here in the ball game. Miami leading FAMU 49-10. The Canes' first offense hasn't played since the middle of the first quarter. 1st and 10 FAMU at the 33-yard line. Reggie Hayes remains in at quarterback. And here he goes again.
Hey, look, there's a surprise. He ran a draw.
And tripped up by Antrell Roll as he reaches the 40-yard line. Pickup is 7.
Well, sooner or later, Miami's defense and Randy Shan's just going to say, look, we got to put a cop on him. That's all. One of the defensive linemen has to stay on the line of scrimmage and mirror, because this whole drive, the drive that they scored on, and right now, why should they stop doing what they're doing? Hayes can just keep moving down the field.
You saw that last fan. I think fashion should be a statement, not a question. 2nd and 3. Hayes throws and completes it out to the 47-yard line. Antrell Roll making the tackle. Catch to number 80, Andre Harrison, his first catch of the night. Gain was 8 yards. They mark it at the 48-yard line, and it's a first down for the Rattlers.
Well, they've moved the ball steadily in the second half.
Yeah, from about the middle of the 3rd quarter, after they got that turnover in the field goal, last 2 drives they've been able to move the ball. Here's Hayes under pressure and throws short at the 50-yard line, intended for Maurice Demps.
Jamal Green was in his face on that side and doesn't allow him to make a full throw. That's why that ball comes up short.
So you got kind of a mixed unit in there at the defensive line. You got Jamal Green, who's a first-teamer, Will Fork, who's a starter tonight, Orion Harris, and John Wood.
Trying to keep a little balance, I guess, in there.
2nd and 10. Hayes out of the shotgun. Moving around, looking for somewhere to go. Gets a good block. And Hayes crosses midfield and runs out of bounds inside the Miami 40 at the 36-yard line.
It has been the Reggie Hayes show in the second half for FAMU. Generate a little bit of offense.
18 yards on the carry. Miami just letting him break contain.
He get a nice block here, he picks it up, and then he shows he's got some wheels.
First down at the Miami 36 with 12.5 minutes to play.
Darryl McGlover, the linebacker from Miami, has got to realize he's coming downfield. He's still running in coverage.
Yeah, you got to keep your eye on the quarterback at least some of the time. Hayes throws complete to Demps. Glenn Sharp made the tackle at the 28-yard line. It will be 2 yards short of a first down. Miami with only 1 turnover tonight. That a fumble recovery right near the end of the first half. This is a team who, including the Rose Bowl last year, 48 turnovers. They average 4 a game.
Yeah, that's an unbelievable stat from last year. But although we've had 2, Sean Taylor should have had 1, and Mo Sykes had one that a little tougher. But Sean Taylor should have had a pick.
On 2nd and 2, Hayes out of the shotgun. Throws complete to Demps, and he falls down and then is buried by Sean Taylor at the 27-yard line. He got 2. It'll be 3rd and 1. officially give him a yard on the completion. 3rd and a short 2. As they mark it just inside the 28-yard line. 11:22 left to go.
I think I'd watch Hayes on this play.
Yeah. And there he goes. Howard Clark makes the tackle short of the first down.
Yeah, he didn't get that one.
He's stopped by 45.
Howard Clark, a senior, and you kind of feel for the Sam linebackers on this team, because the first 3 games of the year, they're not going to be on the field very much with the spread offenses that these teams use.
Now you got to get those DBs in there, and they go into the nickel and dime package, and you're right. Strong side linebacker winds up sitting and watching most of the game.
4th down and a yard for Florida A&M.
Guess what? I'd still watch Hayes.
Yeah. Quarterback draw, anyone?
There he goes.
Not too hard to call. And he got away for a first down. Terrell Weaver making the tackle at the 25-yard line. Looked like Miami might have been able to get him for a loss, but he squeezed through a couple of tacklers.
Hey, I give him a lot of credit. You know, I mean, they know where he's going to, and here it is again. Nothing fancy. He just tucks and makes a little move.
Yeah, Jamal Green and Marcus Maxey kind of had him bracketed, but they didn't really take good angles.
No, should have had him for a loss and allows him to pick up the first down.
10 minutes, 15 seconds left to go, and Florida A&M threatening again. Hayes, 11 carries for 58 yards, so he's moving the sticks.
Pretty impressive, because some of that, I mean, I know they're substituting defensive guys, but there's been a lot of starters in there.
Hayes on a first down, pump fakes, and delivers complete. Howard Clark dragging down the receiver, Andre Harrison. And that'll be another first down at the 15-yard line, mark it at the 14. Gain of 11. Andrew Williams comes into the Miami lineup at defensive end, giving Jamal Green a breather.
Hayes has been doing everything right.
Nothing fancy about this offense. It's just kind of Reggie Hayes run, dump off throws.
Nothing fancy, but they've moved the chains.
Been a while since Miami made a play defensively. Here's a draw to Pompey. And Pompey inside the 5-yard line. Rashad Pompey taken down by Sean Taylor at the 2-yard line. And what's left of the crowd here at the Orange Bowl, a little bit restless. They don't like to even see the 3rd-team defense get moved on.
Now, I can guarantee you Randy Shannon and his staff are very restless, because, yeah, it may be academic in this game's all, but you don't want to see this happen, and you don't want to be giving up points.
First and goal from the 2. Hayes stacked up for no gain, maybe even lost a yard. Orion Harris, number 92, combining with Santonio Thomas for the tackle back at the 3-yard line.
Howard Clark a little slow getting up.
Second and goal, clock moving, 8 minutes and 50 seconds ago. Howard Clark, the senior linebacker out of Pensacola, New Jersey. One of the veterans on this defense. Second and goal from the 3. Hayes, blitz coming. Glenn Sharp forces him to throw, but it's caught in the end zone. A great leaping catch by Bonga for a touchdown.
What a great catch. We talked about Bonga before being 6'5". This one he just goes up and gets. Antrell Roll is behind him. Hayes under pressure with a blitz has got to just toss it up there, and Bonga goes high to get that ball. That's just a nice catch.
3-yard touchdown pass from Reggie Hayes to Dennis Bonga. And with this extra point, Florida A&M will equal the number of points Miami gave up at home last year in 6 games. Wow. Canes only gave up 17 points at home last year.
Not what you want to see.
Juan Vasquez on to attempt the extra point. It is up and it is good. 8:36 left to go here in the 4th quarter, as FAMU has rolled off 17 points in a row against the Canes reserves. It's Miami 49, Florida A&M 17. .836 left to go in the ball game. Reggie Hayes leading Florida A&M to a touchdown on the 2nd straight possession. Miami had a blitz coming, but Hayes just kind of throws it up in the end zone. The 6'5" Dennis Bonga comes down with the catch.
Glenn Sharp coming on the blitz. It's a good call for Miami, and Antrell Roll is there behind it. Bonga just wants it more. Goes up. It's a high throw. He's up over the goalpost almost from that angle.
And he's 6'5". He dropped one earlier in the end zone, so making up for it. Lennon Nesbitt will kick it off. Miami with Buck Ortega at quarterback's gone 3 and out their last 3 possessions. Again trying to pooch it, and for the 3rd time in a row they kick it out of bounds.
Of course, you point out what's interesting too. Buck Ortega in on the return team.
And he was in on the kickoff coverage team, the first unit, and I know he's on the 2nd kickoff return team. So again, by rule, with the kickoff out of bounds, Miami will take over at the 35-yard line, and Mark Gillen, the true freshman quarterback from Orinda, California, becoming the 10th true freshman to enter the ball game tonight.
Going to get them all their snaps.
He's from the same high school as Ken Dorsey, Miramonte High School. There's Jason Gathers. He'll go down for a loss of a yard.
Oh, poor Jason Gathers, because of all the injuries and everything at tailback, there's nobody else to put in there for him. So he's carrying the bulk of the load.
Well, they could use Quad Hill as a 3rd tailback.
They could, but Quad got a lot of snaps at fullback tonight. And I think, you want to get Jason, who's coming over from wide receiver, get him the reps. And for the backs, I mean, it's actually a better thing. You get them a lot of touches, let them get in the sink.
Here's the other thing. Florida A&M's first defense is still in there. They have not taken these guys out. 2nd and 11 from the 34. Gillen gives to Gathers. Trying to turn the corner behind Talib Humphrey. He'll get out to the 37-yard line. Ricky Funches makes the tackle. Gain of 3. It'll be 3rd and 8.
Well, Miami just trying to chew up clock here, but, they're going to have to get a couple first downs, You don't want to see A&M get the ball back, especially Hayes has got hot hand right now.
It's an interesting decision to put Mark Gillen in the game, because I really do think they want to find out if Gillen or Ortega is going to be their number 3 quarterback.
Well, unfortunately, Buck Ortega didn't do a whole lot to help himself tonight.
3rd and 8 for the Hurricanes. And again, FAMU crowd in the line of scrimmage. Gillen, 3-step drop, throws too high for Sonoris Moss, who then takes a big hit from Levy Brown and pops right back up.
Levy Brown has been all over the field tonight. And, I mean, he's a guy we've talked about a lot and just coming up big for them. And Sonora Moss getting a little taste of what it's like coming across the middle.
Yeah, see, that's interesting. I think that FAMU's keeping their first defense in there. I mean, I don't know whether you would think he'd want to get some other guys some playing time, but, maybe just trying to make the score a little more cosmetically appealing. He's kept that first unit in there, and that's the 4th straight 3 and out for the Miami offense. John Petty will step in to punt. Flag down. Looked like Miami might have moved early. Brown has this one go over his head, picks it up at the 10-yard line. Trying to get to the outside, and he got away. There goes Levy Brown, chased by Howard Clark, who shoves him out of bounds at the 45-yard line.
Well, that's pretty nifty. I'm not sure how he came out of that pack.
Just kind of some sloppy play there, special team-wise for Miami. It's a motion penalty, a procedure penalty on Miami. That'll be refused. And FAMU will have the ball at their 45-yard line.
Illegal motion. Kicking team.
John Smith indicates the illegal motion.
Declined. 1st and 10. Florida A&M.
And next weekend, cross-state rivals unite to decide who will be king of the swamp. Watch as the defending national champion Hurricanes take on the Florida Gators, a hungry group. Relive the excitement of this historic matchup. Tune in Sunday at 5 on Fox Sports Net. Dave and I will be there in the swamp next weekend.
Can't wait. Can't wait. Gonna be a fun weekend.
49-17 Miami. Canes up 49-0 in this game midway through the 3rd quarter, and FAMU's put up 17 points in a row.
And it's all been Reggie Hayes, I can tell you that much.
Senior out of Miami Central High School. Not impressive numbers last year. 6 out of 15. But he's looked good tonight, and he's rushed the ball almost a dozen times. There's Pompey with the carry and finds room across midfield. Lost a shoe, but picks up a 1st down at the Miami 42-yard line.
Miami
gain was 13. So FAMU piling up some numbers against the backup defense for Miami, although the DBs have gone most of the way.
Yeah, and I mean, it's a tough comparison, but you look at what Hayes has done versus Casey Printers. And I mean, Casey Printers was the guy that they're really expecting and hyping and pushing for Heisman, and Hayes has been the guy to make it all happen.
First down from the 42. Again, Pompey with the football. This time gets only to the 41-yard line. Andrew Williams, number 99, making the tackle for the Canes. Give him a gain of 2. It'll be 2nd and 8. Coming up on the 6-minute mark to go here in the 4th quarter. Miami totally controlled the first half. We're up 42-0. They stretched it to 49-zip. And then with Buck Ortega's first snap, he put the ball on the ground, and FAMU capitalized with a field goal, and that seemed to give him a little confidence, as Hayes has led them to 2 straight touchdowns. Hayes with the football. Over the middle and nearly intercepted by Jarrell Weaver. Did he get it? Hang on. They say he got it. Interception for Jarrell Weaver. He did a juggling act and came up with the football.
Well, you talked about not having a turnover other than the fumble recovery, and here, you know, it's an interesting play. Hayes fakes it, then it looks like he's going to start to draw, then looks downfield. One hand gets out there. What a great play by Weaver, the fact that he hangs on to this ball.
Kind of rode up on the right shoulder pad, and 2 officials had a good look at it, and they said he caught it.
Well, he just kind of sticks his big right hand out there, does a nice job of twist. Kept it up.
Just got it by the end of the football.
That's it.
It's a heck of a play.
Didn't hit the ground. Pretty athletic.
Miami takes over at their 38-yard line.
Little spark for Miami's defense to shut down Hayes.
Miami led the country with 27 interceptions last year. That is their first of the season. Gillen gives it to Jason Gathers, who bursts through to midfield and still going. Jason Gathers, he's got a chance to the 30, to the 20, and Jason Gathers to the end zone. Give me a signal, ref. He's in there. Touchdown Hurricanes. A 62-yard run from Jason Gathers.
Well, you know, with all the good backs, when they get a lot of touches, we were talking about him being the workhorse tonight. All of a sudden, little spark. It's amazing what a turnover can do, and that's what Miami was so opportunistic last year with the 45 turnovers to convert them to points, and I mean to convert immediately to points. So Miami gets back on the board with a tremendous run by Jason Gathers.
Well, there was a big hole there, too.
Oh, but you see the speed of Gathers when he gets to the outside.
No doubt. Todd Seaver's extra point is up and good. And again, FAMU's continued to blitz throughout the second half, selling out, trying to force some turnovers and, you know, make it look better on the scoreboard. Gathers burned them there. It's Miami 56, Florida A&M 17, 5:25 to go in the ball game. Jason Gathers, second touchdown. 5:25 left to go in the ball game. Miami stopping a run of 17 straight Florida A&M points as Jason Gathers burst 62 yards for a touchdown and ups the Miami lead to 56-17. Frank Ford, Dave Heffernan with you here on Fox Sports Net. Excited to be bringing you Miami Hurricane football once again this season. As you look at Mark Gent, he'll kick it off for the Canes. Maurice Demps and E.J. Collier back to receive for the Rattlers. Kick heading toward Collier at the 2. Collier got away from one. And he's pushed out of bounds by Buck Ortega up at the 21-yard line. So Buck making a second special teams tackle. Not been impressive as a quarterback, but he's been in on 2 tackles on special teams.
Carl Walker, the linebacker for Miami, is going to get chewed out by Donnie Solinger because he comes down and he's the end guy for Miami and just bites in hard on it to give him the outside.
A couple flags at the 31-yard line. Well away from where the ball was.
Maybe the point of frustration now.
See what this is
Dead
about.
ball, personal foul, receiving team. The penalties half the distance to the goal. It'll be 1st and 10, Florida A&M.
It's the second time they've been called Florida A&M for a personal foul on special teams play. So they'll march him half the distance. Should put it back in the area of the 11-yard line. And I believe we have a new quarterback, Tony Scott, number 7, into the ball game for Florida A&M, a freshman from Decatur, Georgia, 5'11", 190-pounder.
Well, I guess you want to get some playing time, but I'm thinking, hey, Hayes is the only guy that's done anything for your team all night. why not let him finish it out? But you want to get the freshman in and get some snaps.
Scott, and there's that quarterback draw. Makes a nice spin move and gets out to the 20-yard line. Brandon Merriweather combining with Cornelius Green on the tackle. Gain was 9.
Changed quarterbacks, but they kept the same playbook, that's for sure. Coming right back with a quarterback draw.
Florida A&M going with the blank helmets this year. They used to have the Rattler sticker on the side.
You're right.
Which is a very nice logo, a cool logo. I wish they had it on the helmets. 2nd and 1. We're at 4:38 left to go in this ball game. Scott gives it to Pompey, but Cornelius Green right there to make the tackle for no gain. Number 98, Cornelius Green, making a nice return from his injury-plagued 2001 season.
Yeah, he's had a nice night tonight and rolling him in. And there, he's just sitting right in the gap this time. Reads it from the get-go.
You know, against these Hayes and Tony Scott, I almost wouldn't rush. I'd sort of sit at the line of scrimmage the way they're going.
But that's why it's so effective, because Miami's front four gets upfield so fast that if you get in the crease behind them, and that's what Hayes took advantage of, and that's what made it work.
3rd and a yard. Scott will take it himself. Marcus Maxey is right there, and he goes down for a big loss. Number 24, Marcus Maxey, redshirt freshman out of Navasota, Texas, coming up with the tackle for loss.
Well, they were bringing him, and they were bringing Antrell Roll on the other side, so you got both corners coming in hot off this. He's got nowhere to go with it.
6 yards on the loss, back to the FAMU 14-yard line. And Damon Miller, who's been a very busy guy tonight, will stand inside his end zone and kick it away to Roscoe Parrish.
He may have to ice his leg down tonight. He's spun it so much.
Pretty good kick there. Parrish from his 45. Looking for some help. And gets it down to the FAMU 39-yard line. Return of 16 for Roscoe Parrish. And the Canes will take over in FAMU territory. We have an injury for FAMU. Let's take another look. That's Levy Brown.
He's been all over the field.
A little slow getting up. See if somebody maybe wiped him out on a block. Oh, he is head up. Oh, man. Glenn Sharp just decleated him.
He may be a freshman, but he knows how to hit.
Yeah, well, that's Carroll City, Glenn Sharp, at Northwestern for Levy Brown. So, you know, Carroll City guy gets a chance to hit a Northwestern guy. He's going to do it.
Levy Brown may not remember that he's had that good a game right now. He's got the cobwebs ringing there helping him off.
University of Miami football on Fox Sports Net is being brought to you in part by Nextel. How business gets done. Call 1-800-NEXTEL-9.
Although Levy Brown has just played a whale of a game, though. You know, I mean, he's been all over the field, so glad to see him okay being taken off. But that was a bell ringer.
And you wonder why maybe he's still out there. But again, 1AA teams, they only have 65 scholarships as opposed to 85.
You don't have that many bodies, and they've got a very competitive schedule coming up.
Mark Gillen with the play fake. Being chased out of the pocket. Throws, caught by Akeem Jalla, who's heading for the end zone, and he's got a touchdown. The first completion for Mark Gillen in his Miami career, the first catch by Akeem Jalla, and it goes for a 39-yard touchdown.
Well, pay attention, Hurricane fans. You may be looking at the future a few years down the road. That nice job by Gillian. Booten, under pursuit, continues to run while he's got sideline to work with. Finds his man down the field. Wow. I'm thinking 3 minutes left, figuring, well, they can wind it down, but quick strike even at the youngest age.
There's Todd Severs, puts it up and in for the extra point. It's now 62-17 Hurricanes. I got to tell you, Dave, that Mark Gillen in the scrimmages that I've been at has looked like a pretty cool customer.
This is a guy that Dorsey has told people, look, he's better than I am. I mean, you know, and when, you know, that's a pretty bold statement to make, but he says this kid's going to be better than I am. Well, so it's going to be real exciting. Ken Dorsey in his senior season, and then you've got Crudup, you've got Brock Berlin, you've got Gillian, who's now saying, hey, you know, maybe throw my hat in the ring here.
Well, you know, Mark Gillen even said when he committed to Miami, or, you know, verbal commitment really before last season, And then Brock Berlin transfers in, and people called him and said, well, you're going to back out of your commitment. He says, no, I'm not afraid of competition. I want to compete at Miami.
Well, here you go. He's got the fake. It's a naked boot. He does a nice job of outrunning defensive tackle. Looking. Finds Jala, who does a nice job getting right down the sideline, scooting it into the end zone.
Well done all around. 63-17 for the Hurricanes.
Well, nice poise by Gillian, though, because he's under hot pursuit, and instead of just throwing it away, continues until he finds Jolly on the break.
Now, like you said, Mark, have a peek into the future there. Mark Gillen, who to me facially looks a lot like Craig Erickson.
Yeah, he does.
I don't know if he turns this way. He reminds me of Craig Erickson in his face. You know, body-wise, he's more like Dorsey, although, you know, his coaches will tell you, his high school coach, Floyd Burnsett, out at Miramani High School in California, Northern California, who coached both Dorsey and Gillen, obviously, said maybe a little better athlete than Ken. Ken looks gawky and he looks awkward, but he was a pretty good basketball player. This kid ran hurdles and track.
You get a taste of it there as he's running to the sideline. And you know, Dorsey is not, you know, dead set in the pocket, but, you know, you don't want to see him out running around. Gillian looked very comfortable, rolling out to the right. And again, a lot of poise to let that develop.
And Mark Gillen with a memorable first completion in his University of Miami career. Mark Gent will kick it off. This is Maurice Demps, a yard deep. Runs right into Buck Ortega, who makes the tackle at the 17-yard line.
Well, give Buck a lot of credit. He's watching Gillian out there going, well, maybe I better start making my name on this team doing something else. You know, he is a good athlete. You may see a change down the road to put him in another position.
Now that's kind of been rumored throughout the spring and into this fall camp. But you mentioned Buck is a good athlete.
Well, he's shown it tonight.
That's his third tackle on special teams, at least assisting on a tackle. 2 minutes, 38 seconds to go. First down for FAMU at their 17-yard line. Give to the running back, who goes absolutely nowhere. He's buried by the middle of that Canes defensive line.
Funny, they went under center on that one. Tony Scott taking it, instead of going from the shotgun that they've been so effective under, Tony Scott taking it under center.
Edward Baker with the carry. No gain, 2nd and 10. Sharp and Baker in the eye in the FAMU backfield. Vince Wilfork and Santonio Thomas just collapsing the offensive line on that last carry. There's Baker again. This time Jarrell Weaver there to necktie him for a loss of a yard.
Amazing what you get a little bit of momentum swing. You know, FAMU seem to get their offense going. You get that turnover, all of a sudden a quick strike, you get on the board, all of a sudden another touch. Now these guys seem to have stepped it back up a little bit, saying, hey, you know, they're flying around the ball a little bit.
And I'd have to go back and check, Dave, but I think 4 of the Miami touchdowns have come on the first play of a drive, just one-play drives, including the last 2 touchdowns. Good look at Jarrell Weaver out of Miami Northwestern High School. And Scott will call a timeout, which doesn't make him a very popular guy in this stadium at this point with 1:17 to go in a 63-17 ball game. So, Dave, you know, it's kind of one of those games that it's hard to get a read on. Miami was so efficient with their first group. They only played a quarter and a half. Is that enough of a warm-up for Florida?
Well, you certainly hope so. And again, we talked about it. There's that fine balance in there. How long do you let those guys go and run the risk of injury? You know, obviously Larry Coker and his staff think they got enough of what they saw. They were very, very efficient. You know, they get the turnover in the opening drive, but they were going to score on that. Ethnic Sands, you know, boots the ball up. They wind up getting the turnover. They score every other drive they're in after that. So, you know, you got everything you wanted out of that first group offense. Defensively, you played a lot of different people. The secondary, you know, was this a real test for the secondary? Not
Probably
much.
Not.
You know, I mean, I think we expected more out of Casey Printers to really see him throw the ball downfield, spread it around, and it just didn't happen.
I think that's been the major disappointment of the night, that Miami felt that Printers would at least, you know, give him a look and give him a little more of a test. And that just didn't happen. And you know, the pass rush, he got sacked 4 or 5 times. Pass rush was really after him. The pass rush not so evident when Hayes was in the ball game, but you know, when they had the first unit in there, they didn't give Printers time to do anything.
Yeah, now there's a kid named Rex Grossman who's going to test his secondary a lot more next week.
Yeah, it'll be more than a test, I guarantee you that. 3rd and 11, Tony Scott. Trying to go on a quarterback draw. Vince Wilfork takes him down back inside the 10-yard line.
I think the shockwave from Wolford landing back there knocked him over, because I'm not sure he actually hit him. He just kind of leaps back there, lands on the ground, and the poor kid falls down.
Yeah, that might have registered on a seismograph somewhere out in Berkeley.
You, that is one big boy.
But I'll tell you what, he is very, very agile and very quick in that 5-yard area around the line of scrimmage. Exceptionally quick for a man that size.
No, he's going to have a very good career here at the University of Miami.
So again, Damon Miller will kick. High, very short. Miami just gets out of the way as it's down at the 37-yard line of FAMU.
Yeah, but you know Roscoe Parrish was over there trying to figure out a way he could pick that ball up and go. He's looking, going, oh, I'd like to take this one.
Well, it seemed like such a long time ago, but Roscoe Parrish was absolutely scintillating in that first half. 2 touchdowns and really showing that he is going to be a playmaker for Miami this year.
Well, you saw some guys step up that you anticipated you would. Roscoe Parrish, Jason Gathers, very, very, solid game tonight. McGahee, solid for what they wanted out of him. Didn't play that much, but, did what you wanted.
Now you got walk-ons all over the place for Miami. This is Jeff Malley with the carry. He's a walk-on, and he'll pick up 5 yards. Call it 4 to the 33-yard line.
Of course, I'm going to be careful, because when there was 12 seconds left in the first half, I said, well, maybe they'll kneel on it, and they throw a touchdown pass. So we got 20 seconds left, so I think we might be wrapping this one up.
16 seconds left, and I don't think Miami will run another play. So Larry Coker runs his record to 13-0 with a 63-17 victory over the Rattlers of Florida A&M. Miami, for the most part, very efficient tonight, getting done what they needed to do in the first half. They led it 42-0 at the half. The game never really in doubt. As Larry Coker and Billy Joe shake hands, Miami starts their season off in fine style, 63-17. We'll be back to wrap it up here on Fox Sports Net. University of Miami football on Fox Sports Net has been brought to you in part by Nextel. How business gets done. Call 1-800-NEXTEL-9. There's your final score once again. The Miami Hurricanes 63, the Rattlers of Florida A&M 17. Frank Ford along with Dave Heffernan. Dave, good way to start the season. Don't know if Miami can repeat, but they've got a shot.
Well, you got to start it with a victory. They did it tonight. We'll find out next week what this team's really all about.
All right, thanks for joining us here at the Orange Bowl. Catch more Hurricane football next Sunday at 5 o'clock for a replay of the Canes and Gators game. Coming up next, Major League Baseball, the Devil Rays visiting the Texas Rangers. For my partner Dave Heffernan, I'm Frank Ford saying goodbye. Once again, the final score from the Orange Bowl, Miami 63, Florida A&M 17. So long, everyone.